It's Friday, October 4th, 2024. Alright, let's start off as we typically do with our promotional segment, where I tell you very simply that if you'd like to support our show, you just go to supportourshow.com, and it's also the URL is in the comments for the show if I do it correctly. So if for some reason I slurred my way through that, you can go ahead and just look at the comments. Only thing that is not there, because I am not 100% sure it works, I'm about 75% sure it still works, is that you can use the code OZONE, like the middle word in our show, to get 2 months free membership.
It's amazing.
You know, that's the thing is, I forget about it because I don't know that anybody listening.
It's quite funny because it's like you every time you have to keep saying it. It's always slightly different.
Well, here's
for not knowing.
Yeah, but this is why I don't even make that minimal effort.
Yeah.
Because by now, one of two things will happen.
Yeah.
Let's say that somebody cares and wants to try the code. If somebody were to do that and it worked, I would imagine, because people who listen to the show have no problem messaging me on various platforms, and I can respond. Sometimes a little late, I'll admit. Sometimes I have this weird thing with email where even if it's a 4-word reply, I build up the idea of making sure I reply correctly. And I don't know why I'm like that. It's just how I am. But regardless of that, I do check them and I do respond to them. So by now, if it worked, somebody would hear this opening and say, oh, let me just message him and tell him, yes, it's working. Or, conversely, if it didn't, I would imagine somebody by now would have said, hey, just so you know, that code doesn't work, so there's probably no point in putting it in the opening anymore. And I would say, thank you very much for the information. Great. Or I would message Libsyn and say, hey, is the code supposed to still be working? Because it's not. And see what they say. But since there has been, as far as I can tell, no interest, which I don't do anyway, in starting a podcast by our listeners, I am assuming that the code it is Schrodinger's code. And you know what? I like mystery. I like ambiguity. It can be fun, so long as it doesn't hurt anyone. So far, the ambiguity allows me to come up with 18 different ways of saying I don't know if this code works, which is fine, because the rest of the promotional segment is pretty much commodified because I have a URL. So there's less of a, I used to go into this flourishing explanation of the boxes and how they were arranged, that they were rounded squares and they were right on the right side, all this stuff where I can explain something visually. I don't really do that anymore because I have a URL and it's so now I have shifted that minor bit of improvisational imagination into it's fine. But I don't know if it works or not. If somebody wants to try it, by all means try it. Let me know. And I will take further action as warranted by such response. Until then, it exists, like so much of our lives now, in an ethereal cloud floating somewhere else, that we don't really know if it's there or not, or whether it will work for us when we need it to or not. But in theory, it is there. In concept, it exists. And so it has a place. And we'll talk about it. And I will until I get a message from them saying, stop talking about it, or somebody else saying, idiot, it doesn't work. And then,
I'm going to try it.
try it. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, the only thing is
Yeah.
you probably have to put a credit card in. But
I know. I'm curious now.
hey, feel free.
Well,
It took, 30 fucking episodes to get you to track. That's all right.
30.
Not that.
30.
No, yeah, I've been talking about how long. How
You've been going on about that shit for like years.
Yeah, I guess so. I have such a weird track of time. I don't really know how long I talk about it.
30.
Yeah,
30.
I guess it's been a while.
I mean, I never checked because I'm already here.
It's true. That's the thing is, I imagine that most people listening already either have a podcast, like most people tend to at this point, or they don't even ever have one because why bother? Which isn't valid.
Well, I actually have a string of different reviews today.
Ooh.
Yeah, object, books, and art shows that I wanted to get into. We'll see where we wander off in the process. But yeah,
I don't know why I'm making mouse sounds. Go ahead.
Is that like a walrus? I like the walrus sounds. You're like, or is that a horse? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like the disquiet sound when someone says something. So, no, I don't move around. Disagree with something. Wouldn't that be great? Oh shit! You know what? That just makes me. Oh god. I'm gonna get.
Wow, the one sound effect I don't have in this bank of sound effects is a horse. I guess I have to get one now. I have a goat.
I want to get tap dancing shoes. And the next time I get really annoyed with somebody, I'm just going to start loudly tapping my shoes. I mean, could you imagine how annoying my shoes don't do that? You know how annoying that would be to be in a situation, especially in like an office setting, like in a waiting room where they have like tile floors, and to just be like tap, 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 tap. With like
that'd be great.
That metal cleat thing, whatever it is they have on tap shoes.
Sure.
Just be tap dancing, discontent.
Walking around with a gong would be annoying too. Yes, it is a gong.
Well, yes, it'd be a lot to wheel around. Whereas the tap dancing, the tap shoes, that'd be quite fun. Just to like set something up, break that out.
Man, they let that one reverb. Holy crap! Jeez. No, I know that, but most gong sounds are short. They kind of whoosh, and it's like clean.
Like
cuts.
go for an hour.
Yeah, they don't usually like drag out for a good. That's a 7-second clip. Wow. Yeah. All right, good. Next gong.
Well, the first thing I want to discuss.
Wait.
What? You guys good?
Better maybe. What is air raid?
Oh, that's an air raid.
It's that.
Yeah.
Well,
air raid horn, man.
That one's also that's
World War II.
Well, or actually, where I associate that sound to? It's not war. Of all things, it's the old Time Machine movie. That was the sound they played when the Eloi were summoned to be cannibalized by the Morlocks. These little siren things. Did you ever see the old Time Machine movie? It's actually quite good. Yeah. If you remember, there was the big heads on top of the buildings, and these sirens would come, these little things would come up, which were weird looking, and they would play that air raid, which is, I think, supposed to be a reference to the war. I think that's the idea.
It's the traditional.
No, I get it. But that's, when I hear that noise, I don't think of war. I think of the Morlocks going to be slow.
In New Jersey, they have an air raid horn that goes off every time the ambulance corps goes out. Like from the main ambulance corps or the fire corps goes like from the firehouse.
Really?
Yeah, especially from the firehouse. So you hear it randomly throughout the day and the night. Oh. And my wife always jokes around. She's like, "Oh, the Nazis are bombing." I'm actually more familiar with that noise on a regular basis than it should be.
We don't have announcements of emergency vehicles being dispatched. It's not something we have in California.
Yeah, we are, which probably from fire people. Departments.
Yeah.
It would just be going off all the time.
24/7 loop. Yeah, why bother?
Yeah.
Why stop it? I mean, they have said that the fire season just get longer. At some point, they're just going to have a what do you call it? What's the thing? A carnival ride of horses, except it's going to be the fire engines.
Yeah, I just started reading a book. I don't know why. I think I read an article, but I read an excerpt from it. No. I read the excerpt. I actually really liked it, and I was like, yeah, you know, I should.
Oh, speaking of clones, did you see the Mickey 17 trailer?
Yes, that did look very funny.
It looks weird. I like it.
You know what? I think they're trying to sell it as a comedy,
It looks that way.
but you know, it's
Well, no,
hard
it's
to
going to be
know.
social commentary because that guy does
Yeah.
social commentary. So it's going to
Well, that's
be
what I
it's going to be
mean.
dark.
Because he did
comedy.
Snowpiercer, right?
Yeah, and the host, I think, too. I think it's the same guy.
Yeah.
that
So
did
I
the
watched
host.
that trailer with my wife, and she was like, "Oh, that looks really good," and I was like, "That's the guy who did Snowpiercer," and she was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be crushing." Yeah. All right. So the book I'm reading is called Fireweather: On the Front Lines of a Burning World by John Vaillant. And it mostly deals with this huge forest fire they had up in Canada that went on for like months.
Was it called was it Fireline First Line? Was it? You just yeah, I know it. I was typing
Fireweather.
it. Fireweather.
On the front lines of a burning world.
I got it.
It's really interesting. I mean, maybe it's more interesting to me. Maybe we're nightmare fuel for you. Because we laugh. But,
Whatever. I'm so used to it at this point.
It's interesting. It's interesting because it takes place up in this area of Canada that's like essentially they said essentially there's one city it's just like all oil, and it's all oil drilling and shit around, and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's just this one lone city that has nothing in that direction, and they're kind of used to forest fires, but then now they're starting to get these forest fires that are kind of super duper forest fires.
Is this your book review, by the way, or is this a tangent?
No, not at all. I
okay.
just started reading this.
No, that's fine. I was checking because I'm like, well, I probably wandered him into something that wasn't his review.
No, you did, yeah, but that's fine. I don't mind wandering. Wandering is great. We'll get to my reviews. They're there. I'd much rather wander personally. But yeah, it's a really interesting book, and it's mostly about this forest fire, but then how it in the larger context of the world, which goes back to the hilarity of how we as a species can't just live ourselves, which is never more evident when you see people in traffic. I always find metaphors for society in these little microcosm situations. So like when we used to play World of Warcraft a lot, there was all this behavior I saw online that I was like, oh man, this is very telling. But traffic on the highway, I've realized, because people think that they have some kind of anonymity in their car, when it's like, fucker, you've got windows and a license plate. There's no anonymity, and especially if you're in a huge car. It's like we see you. But because they don't have to look people in the face, people do these atrocious things in vehicles, and the level to which people either put their life on the line for moving one space ahead of you, or the degree to which they are willing to be bastards to everybody just to get like one car ahead. Like it does baffle me the degree to which people would drive you off the road just to get one car ahead in traffic, rather than sitting there and saying, hey, listen, we're all in traffic, this sucks for all of us, let's just try to like a merge. I don't know if California has merges, like alternating merges.
Well, there's merging.
Well,
What do you mean
out
by
here,
what is alternating merging?
alternating is
That's
when it's supposed to be
basically
one car, then another car, then one car, then the other car. It's supposed to be two lanes are supposed to merge.
Okay,
one at a time.
so the way they handle it out here is they actually have traffic lights for it. So if you have like a two-lane, because people out here, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's everywhere, but they're such scumbags that they have. So let's say you're having a three-lane highway and two lanes are merging in.
Yes, but you have scumbags too. See, then
Yes.
then it's endemic. We have that as well.
Yeah. No, my wife and I have
It's
the
awful.
conversation about what you're talking about almost daily.
Yeah, it's
Where
terrible.
we'll say which of us saw somebody who weaved in and out of traffic in a highly dangerous way to get one car ahead and was still at the red light one car ahead.
And like the big booby award for me yesterday was I was leaving. I went to like one of the largest rec fairs in New York City, and when we were leaving, we left like when the thing ended, so like everyone was leaving, and there was a merge, and so like all these cars are trying to merge into one lane, and this one Jeep Wrangler, which I hate to admit this, but very often it's Jeep Wrangler, just pulled out and drove down the middle divider on the road and basically just cut off like 20 cars as they were trying to merge because they'd left just enough room that he didn't hit the oncoming traffic.
Okay.
And we were just sitting there like, what an asshole. Like, everybody's trying to and I know that he's probably sitting there in that car going, oh, look at all these sheep following the road rules. Well, I'm getting ahead. I'm like, yeah, you cut off like 20 people, and they're all looking at you, and this is why I know that karma doesn't exist, because like just the bad karma from roads would kill most people. That's also how I know that there's no telekinetics in this world, because if telekinesis exists, cars would be flung into the trees. You would regularly some story about some piece of highway where like someone's Jeep Wrangler was thrown into a pine tree 50 feet in the air, and you'd be like, what the fuck is that?
I often say to myself in the car, "Boy, it's a good thing I'm not saying telekinetic."
Tetsuo!
Yeah.
You know what? I say that to kids. Like, I try to find creative ways to just not be angry. Sometimes I get really annoyed, and I'm trying not to say something bad. If I had telekinesis, those cars would be in the trees. And then my kids laugh, and my daughter goes and says something like, "Don't be mean." And I'm like, "I didn't start this. So they started this. It's not me. It's them.
I didn't start it."
But yeah, if I had telekinesis, yeah, fucking dead. Yeah, because they would, like. But here's the thing. This is kind of a little bit why I kind of sort of understand the beginnings of road rage. But of course, I then go, what the fuck am I going to do about it? Fuck this asshole. I'm going to follow the rules, and we're all going to get through this. Whereas some people are like, I have a gun, and I'm going to follow that Jeep Wrangler until he stops, and I'm going to shoot him, and I'll be a hero. And it's like, no, that's not the correct response either. But when a motorcyclist drives down the middle between two cars, and it's laugh. Just in the beginning.
Sure.
And I go, oh, I hope he's not dead.
Well, yeah, that's
I
always
hope he's alive, so he can realize he's been a fucking idiot. But but I think if you ride a motorcycle in this day and age, you're already taking your life in your hands.
Oh, you're dancing with the devil, yeah.
Yeah, really, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, now that we know that there's scumbags on the road on both coasts, it's like, listen, man, you're not safe in a car sometimes. Did you read the story recently about where was this? Motorcyclist cut some guy off, and the guy followed the motorcyclist with his kids. There's two kids in the back of the car. Followed him off the road into a Walgreens parking lot. At which point they both pulled guns and fired on each other and killed each other, leaving the kids in the back of the car. And I'm like, what? Like, don't get me wrong. If I had telekinesis, which is a fairly bloodless ability, well, there'd be a lot of blood afterwards. Yes, I'd probably be tossing some cars in the trees, but at least they'd be in the trees where they would be caught and they'd be there safe until the tree crew came to get them out, right? But like these two just gunned each other down in a parking lot over like a traffic issue, and you're like, yeah, I wonder. I always wonder where in the mind the buffer that's supposed to stop that has been cut off. It's like something in the software has been cut off, and someone's like, I'm gonna shoot that guy for cutting it off, and it's like a totally logical, thought that they're having that they follow through on. Baffles me.
I can't explain it. I don't. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. People. It is stunning when people do things where, as you said, leaving kids behind. You just sit there and go, "Boy, how do you leave? How do you take leave of your senses to such a degree that you would allow that to happen?" I just can't imagine it.
You have to be able to think past the end result. You have to think past.
That's what I'm
saying.
To be that blind to it.
Like I was. So my tattoo and I are pretty good friends. I remember I was talking at one point about the fact that there's a lot of women that throw themselves at him. It's kind of a weird. It's not because he's amazing. It's because he's a tattooist, and he's in this kind of weird world where he sees a lot of scantily clad women, and he's alone with them for long periods of time. And there is a minority of women throw themselves at that kind of thing. That happened in college. That happened. I've seen that in all kind of periods of my life, right? And I asked him how it was that he didn't let himself get taken with that, right? And he said when he was younger he did, because he's not going to say no. But then as he got older and he had relationships, he had this great phrase. He said, I try to think past the orgasm. He's like, it helps that half the girls are disgusting. And I'm like, no, I have no interest, please. Which he's told me some stories. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I don't think I could, like, I don't think I could keep a straight face in some of these situations. But either way, but he was saying he thinks past the orgasm. He's like, she's cute and it's really awesome and it's fun and I'm sure I'd have a great time doing it. He's like, but then after the fact, he's like, I have to sit there and think to myself, what is this going to do to my relationship? Am I in trouble? Do I need to hide the body? Like, what's going on here? And I like that phrase, that think past the orgasm, because it's the whole idea of you have to think past the emotion. You have to think past the overwhelming desire of the emotion at that time. It's interesting because apparently the goddess Aphrodite, I didn't understand this about the goddess Aphrodite in Greek myth, but she had the ability to make anybody want to lust after anybody. Anybody. And the thing is, a lot of the reasons that Zeus was sleeping with mortals was because of Aphrodite fucking with him. Because apparently the Greek gods considered sleeping with humans almost to be like the level of bestiality. Like, it was like this kind of lowbrow, disgusting thing that you did. Oh, you're fucking the humans, right? But Aphrodite had the ability to make the gods lust for mortals, and mortals for mortals. I mean, when you realize that the reason that the Minotaur myth, where it comes from, which is essentially that when it's King Minos, he was supposed to sacrifice his best bull to Poseidon, and when he didn't, and sacrificed a lesser bull because he wanted to keep his prize bull, Poseidon was like, hey, Aphrodite, make his wife fuck that bull. And that's what she did. She gave the wife huge lust for that bull, at which point she had, was it Daedalus? Daedalus is the inventor. Right?
Yes, Icarus is the son, Daedalus was the...
Yeah. She had Daedalus make her a giant wooden cow suit that she would crawl into so that the bull could fuck her. And voila, Minotaur, right? But the Greeks, if you look at the metaphor, right? So why do we have the metaphor of Aphrodite and her casting this lust over people that was uncontrollable? It's because they understood that this kind of carnal emotion was something that could blind people to logic, and they needed to personify it. They almost needed to take it out of themselves because they didn't understand how they had it and how it could do these horrible things. You can start a war. And it's that idea, you need to think past the orgasm. It's like you want to get around either the lust, you want to get around the anger, you want to get around the fury, you want to get around that overwhelming emotion. You have to stop yourself, and you have to, as hard as you can, think about what happens afterwards. Think about, what happens after you get the darkest version of what could possibly happen. Somebody cuts you off and you've got a gun. You got to think about what happens after you shoot them in the face. Is there going to be a parade? They're going to be on the news being, hero driver shoots motorcyclist who cuts people off. Parade at 11. And it's something that I think we have to train ourselves to do. I think there's a lot of people who can't do it. I mean, listen, I made plenty of mistakes because I couldn't think past the orgasm. But it's like, yeah, you have to be able to think past the emotional response. I honestly think that they should fucking train us to do that in high school. Start young, teach people, hey, think past the anger. And it's not don't acknowledge the anger. It's a think past the anger. Think what happens afterwards. Yes, you're angry, you want to do something. But think about what happens afterwards. And if you think about what happens afterwards and you're like, you know what? I would go to prison for 15 years just to shoot that guy in the face. Then you know what? Maybe you should. If you can actually look at the after effects and say, you know what? I don't want my children to be raised with a father. I think they'd be much happier knowing that their father shot a motorcyclist in the face for cutting him off. I was like, that's the kind of dad that they want. It's like, if you can get there, other than having some kind of twisted logic, it's like, then yeah, go ahead. But I think by and large, most people either can't think through it, or those that do, that don't go through its roadmaps. We all get cut off. As Joe and I have explained, there's douchebags on both sides of the coast driving like sons of bitches. So it's like we all get cut off. We all have negative things happen. I mean, but it's the ability to think past the initial fury, the anger, to try to make logic of it, and to not let it overwhelm you so that it then ruins your own experience.
There's a reason they call it blind fury.
Yeah, but the trick is to try to give yourself sort of almost give yourself insight.
Well, that's the counting to 10 thing that I do and stuff like that. Short. No, 10 seconds.
10's not enough.
Well, it's a 10 and 10 rule. I count to 10 and then I wait 10 minutes because I don't know about most people, but for me there is a extremely short window of
fury,
outright mindless rage, and that's the 10 seconds will do that for me. And then the 10 minutes is, will this be important to me in 10 minutes? And if it won't be, then I just let it fly away.
Yeah, and time is a weapon in that respect. That whole thing, if you really want something, wait a week before you buy it. If you still want it,
right?
Go ahead. And in the road, yeah.
Of course, that was easier when you had to drive to a store and not click, buy it now on a website. It's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
When you had to drive 20 minutes to go get something, you had to think,
should I get this?
Yeah. Smart enough.
It's trying to think past it. Be great, 10 seconds. Count to 10. Count to 10. I think with me, I think count to 30. Or meditation. I have pulled on long car trips and I've gotten really pissed off. Or tired, but pissed off. I've pulled to the side of the road and I actually close my eyes and just meditate for 5 minutes. And kind of just stop myself so that it doesn't. Because the thing is, when you get angry at somebody else, I think it makes you drive angry. And then you can then be that asshole yourself because you're like, somebody fucked me over, so now I'm going to cut you off. It's very easy to kind of revisit that evil against somebody else. You have to kind of do what stops. So you're like, well, that guy was a dick, but I'm not going to be that dick. It's hard. But I think that if we all tried that more, there'd be less, less hostility. Which sounds very kumbaya,
Do you want to try?
I did appreciate it. Although, fucking hell, I've been reading about Concord, the Sony game that got canceled. Did you read anything about this toxic positivity?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
That was so funny. The idea was that nobody was allowed to say anything bad about the game. So everyone was just like, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. No, the character design, no, everything's awesome. Yeah, it's fine. And they basically just yesed themselves to it.
Well, they were trying to apply the secret method that if you just wish it to happen. By saying, no, everything's great, therefore it must be everything is great.
These characters look phenomenal. Yeah,
it is.
And you know what? That's sad. That company, that was their first game. They got bought. No, I'm sorry, their parent company got bought.
So were forced to make this thing.
And then they were like, make this, and then it was like, no, not good enough. And now everyone's kind of sitting there going, well, are we all fired now or something?
That's, the irony being that UFO 50 has blown up and is now this extremely popular thing, and it is not live service. It's made to look like old Nintendo games. The company took 8 years to make it, but it was a joy for them to make it. And that's, this particular lesson keeps happening every few years, and at some point they're going to figure this out. In fact, there is a future late night where I want to talk to somebody who's very involved in video games about this whole thing, because it was the whole thing that, okay, nobody wants to play single player anymore. Nobody wants long story-driven games. Baldur's Gate 3 came through, blew all the doors off. okay, everything has to be live service. It all has to be, meta, or what do they call them?
Well, you make more money off live service. That's what they wanted.
Well, except you don't. That's the problem. You don't, because that thing burns itself out, and there's only so many you can do. You can make money at it if you're one of the three first games doing it. That's it.
The thing is, that is what they think.
Well,
they
right.
think that if they can live service it, then they can squeeze money
And
out of
yet-
it for a while.
So Concord comes out, gets blown to pieces in 2 weeks. UFO 50 comes out after 8 years of development and looks, to some people's minds, they'll say, what, that looks like crap because it looks older. And yet everybody's in love with it because it offers a lot of variety, and it's entirely based on you bought it, you have it. That's it. So again, the same lessons get taught.
Listen, I love that. I hate the fact that, I hate the whole, hey, we gave you part of the game. Now, just wait. We'll make the rest of the game. We'll charge you for it.
Did you
Like,
see
just
they're
finish-
going to make a Yakuza Pirates of the Caribbean game?
What?
Yes, the main wacky villain of the Yakuza series, Goro, is going to be a pirate.
You know,
Yeah, it's
oddly,
called-
that does lend itself.
Well, they've done that with this. They've done this variation before, where they had a game that I played, and I thought it was interesting. Was not necessarily what I think was a good fit for the series, but I applauded the imagination to do it, where they took a game that was primarily known for being a brawler, and they turned it into the third-person shooter, a zombie-based third-person shooter, where it was the same city except it was all zombies. I played it. I didn't hate it. It was clear that it was not the best fit, but I went, okay, they're trying something. They're actually taking this thing, and many of their games are the same exact city over and over and over, and yet there's so much care put into it that you don't mind the fact that they're repeating that, because they clearly love the idea of this thing.
Well, if they use,
understood.
if it's a good map and they reuse it. Listen, the
Yeah.
map for Saints Row, the last Saints Row that I hated. I like the map on that game. If somebody just reused that map
You and I like that game a lot. I agree.
and
It's a
made
great game.
a new game in that environment, I'd play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
I want,
but the toxic positivity, I love that.
yeah.
All right, now I'm not going to get derailed now. I'm going to continue.
All right. I shall.
No, it's fine. It's okay. What was it? So after a year of waiting, I finally got my hands on the sideshow Ghost Rider statue.
Oh yeah.
This is the what is it? The one something.
I think that's right. No, wait. It can't be 1/4. Is it 1/6?
No, it's not 1/6.
Okay. Wait. This is a different one.
Yeah, this is one of their really big, beautiful statues. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the wrong one. I found a Ghost Rider. Hold on. I'll find it. Go
No.
ahead.
Okay. So either way, I actually pre-ordered this a year ago when I first moved down to Jersey. And I think I ordered it around the time of my birthday. Like, oh, maybe I'll get it. I'll get it a year on my birthday. So it actually came pretty near my birthday, which is great. And when I ordered it, it was not supposed to light up. I actually ordered it initially because I just loved the kinetic rage of it. I mean, Ghost Rider is a character that is consumed in a kind of controlled rage. Speaking of, road rage. And I always loved the fact that he, the penance stare?
Yeah.
Make you kind of experience, isn't it you experience all your sins?
Yeah, and you confess to them as well.
Yeah.
So if he hits you with
it
it, you have to tell him whatever he wants to know.
Yeah. So
You know what? This does not indicate a scale. It just has the dimensions.
What do they label it as?
They label it as a premium format figure.
Yes,
This is
premium
it. I
format,
checked against
yeah.
your.
This is-
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking
so
big.
this is the premium format, Ghost Rider statue, and it is astounding. I mean,
Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Shipping weight 31 pounds. I thought the thing weighed 31 pounds.
No.
Okay, I was like, wow. Jeez.
And here's the thing: is like I have a few statues. I don't. Joe and I can go on about statues for the longest time. And both of us have our own kind of system for what we are willing to buy. Because they've had a lot of really nice ones in Sideshow that I've passed up on. I haven't bought that Chun-Li one either. And Joe knows what I'm talking about. But I saw this statue and it was just so. I go back to the word kinetic. They tried to do this Thor statue where he looks like he's flying. and I ended up getting that one at a discount at some point from another, not side. It's a sideshow statue, but like from one of these other shops that had it. They had it on sale, and I realized that like they had tried to make it so that he looked like he was about to fly, and like they did the best they could, but there was still something very sort of static about it. Whereas like with this Ghost Rider statue, I mean, it really looks like he is just flown through the wall, right? And it's the way they did it, the way they sculpted the fire, the way that the fire is kind of swirling, and he's got his chain all around. It's beautiful. And I found out,
and that skull, the skull sculpt is
it's beautiful. It's
quite
great
beautiful.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
This
what
is supposed to
astounded
be
me,
Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch?
yes,
This is
because
Johnny Blaze, right?
No, I think it's Johnny Blaze because one of the heads
Yeah.
is Johnny Blaze. It's
Well, I
like
was going to say it
half
would have to be
Johnny
because of the motorcycle, because this
Yeah.
isn't the Danny Ketch motorcycle. But they changed him, so I didn't know if they retconned
then
that
it
too.
could be. Either way, you know. It's,
No.
It's,
I think
it's
you're
Ghost
right
Rider.
because it's yeah, it's interesting. Oh no, you're right. No, it is. It is.
And the thing is that they made it. When I ordered it, I just loved the sculpture. It wasn't a light up sculpture. Whereas about was it about 2/3 or half the way through like the pre-order, I found out that they were going to light the whole thing up, and that the price wasn't even going to change. And I was like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!" You can find a really nice video of it on YouTube, all lit up, and it is just.
I don't know. I don't think they want it to be anybody specific. They specifically do not name who this is through all the description.
Really? They just want it to be Ghost Rider.
They just keep saying he, mid-transformation, the character. They don't name. That's fascinating. They do not name who this is.
How do I put the other head? The
No,
other
I see
head
that. I see it. It's like the half-transformed head,
He's
right?
got dark hair, though.
Yeah, that's the thing is I thought Johnny
So maybe-
Blaze
maybe
was.
that's- Yeah, I think that maybe that's Ketch then.
It's interesting, but the fact that they don't say it. No, you know what? Johnny Blaze has dark hair.
Oh, I think
Here's
he's
the images of
blonde.
him. Well, okay, he was, and they retconned him. Now in the comics, he has dark hair again. Yeah, interesting. I don't know who they want this to be.
Well, you know what?
Because but it's an interesting discussion. It's interesting to think about because the outfit is a mix. The top half with all the spikes, that was Danny Ketch's look.
Very much so.
But the bottom with the boots and everything, and the bike is vintage Blaze.
Yeah, the big arms of the bike.
Yeah, it's a traditional chopper, whereas Danny Ketch had
Yeah.
almost a techno bike. Like it was a 90s looking bike. That's why I liked it.
Very
I mean,
much
that's why I liked it. It was very, very 90s. But that's
Yeah, and the
fascinating.
thing is, like, the statue is basically Ghost Rider standing on the bike as the bike and him come through a wall in like a ball of flame.
I kind of like that they don't determine. You know, it's fine. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
it's good.
It's
It
just
means that
interesting.
you can have it as a general sort of Ghost Rider presence.
Yeah.
But I wanted to review it.
There is a video. So I'm linking to the sideshow thing, and the video is there.
Oh, their video is beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah, and it is an astounding statue, and the way it lights up is beautiful because like his whole chain lights up, his head lights up, the motorcycle lights up. You've got lights all the way through it. And like I said, I would have bought it without the lights, but with the lights, oh god, it's fucking amazing. This is like my Godzilla statue that lights up blue, so like it's all the back fin,
Aha!
spikes. Yeah.
I have found an article that refers to him as Johnny Blaze.
Oh, it is. There you go.
Another site said Ghost Rider is racing on an impressive 21-inch tall statue featuring Johnny Blaze surfing on top of his helicycle. Oh, it's called a helicycle, is it? I didn't know that.
The helicycle.
I think it's supposed to be helicycle, not helicycle. That makes it sound like it's a.
Hella cool cycle.
Oh, I misread it. It is helicycle. Okay, it's just because the print's small. It's helicycle. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to mention it because it's fucking amazing.
Oh, I linked to it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and
wonderful.
the thing is, I always appreciate that Sideshow has. This sounds like a great ad for Sideshow. I always appreciate the fact that they have a whole pay over time function. So when you find one of these statues that you absolutely adore, you can actually pay for it over time, which is what I did.
Now, I will say that Big Bad Toy Store refers to this as quarter scale. So they are saying it's
okay.
quarter
Well, there
scale.
you go.
That's funny that sometimes these other sites have better
Well,
information.
you know what? Sideshow does. It's their product. So this is an official Sideshow. It's not like a secondary company.
No, I agree, but I'm saying sometimes they keep their stuff very.
And I
they
like
don't
that
put all
scale.
the details in.
Yeah, like I said, this is the premium format. It's usually the same scale. Like I have the Jane Foster Thor statue, which is amazing, and that is it's like the same size. That's the size. It's the size of life.
Oh yeah, mine's
One of these
mine's
days-
quarter scale. Two Faces
One of
quarter
these-
scale.
Yeah, well, it's big.
He's so great. I look at that fucking thing every
Who's the
day.
company who did your Two-Face?
Tweeterhead.
Tweeterhead, that's what it is here.
And I got the big one.
Who's the company that does the really great beta ray bill statue? They aren't in this country.
Oh,
But they
yeah,
do. They did
who's
the
that?
Batman. They did the Batman one, Sanity.
yeah. God, what is that company's name? Statue. Because I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about. They
Yeah,
are
hold on, I
really
think I'll
good.
find it.
It's not
Oh, it's
Mez.
XM. XM.
Yeah, XM Studios. There it is.
Oh
It
my
just came
God,
out.
I want that statue so bad, and it goes for like 3,000. Oh God, I want this statue, and I love it because I don't like the one that's all colored. Anyway, if you don't know what we're talking about, type in XM Studios Batman Sanity statue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you'll see it. And there's a color version and there's a gray version. And the gray version is better because it's basically Batman standing in the center, and he's not colored. He's colored, and then all his villains are standing around him, reaching at him, and they are all this kind of gray smoke color, and it almost looks like just that, like Sanity. You're looking at the insanity of that.
I
And
looked
it kind of-
very hard at their Black Suit Spider-Man one. But the interesting part of that is I didn't think it was better looking than my Bowen one. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to spend more money. Huh?
That was safe.
It did. Yeah, it really did. I think the Bowen one, because the XM one, they did so much muscle definition, I think it overpowers the actual look. I think it makes it too busy. Whereas the Bowen one, I mean, he's got muscles, but it's very, the suit is prominent. Like the profile, the silhouette is so strong with the white. Whereas this one, it's too glossy and it's too muscly. I mean, it's beautifully sculpted, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but yes, that saved me where I went, I've got a better one, I got home, so okay. But I could not resist Two-Face. I couldn't
Well,
resist.
I know.
There are a lot of great Two-Face things out there, there just aren't.
I'm trying to send you a link
For which thing?
for something. I tried to find the XM statue.
Oh, the Sanity thing?
Yeah, but I found something else. I'm trying to send it to you.
And it won't paste it.
And it doesn't want to paste it. And it's, I want to paste it. It's fucking cool.
Be careful with you click things, it does just hang the call up.
No, here we go. Let's see that.
Oh, I see something.
Yes, click on that. Yeah.
Let's see, House of Dog.
I just thought that was really cool.
Oh, that's,
I thought it was
man. I just fucking watched Hardware. This reminds me of Hardware.
Doesn't it? Right? Yeah. So I don't want to. I don't want to
it
get off on a
does.
huge us on a statue by
I'm really
expedition.
waiting
But
for
I want.
Order of Death to start playing in the background.
But I wanted to.
God,
say
that looks like it's supposed to be the main the scavenger from Hardware.
Oh, he's got tentacle arms. I didn't realize.
Yeah, see that? That's.
Ah, that's fucking cool. Yeah.
But he's standing on a skull that's mechanized. That's neat. I like that he's got that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of beautiful statues. And XM is kind of
One final thing about statues, but this is more about figures. I really like how good they're getting at the skinned figures, where the skin goes over the joints now.
Oh
The
yeah.
new ones are really
Yeah, the hot
good.
toy stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what? And it's funny is I watched that happen. I used to collect ballistic scale figures.
yeah, but it used to be a lot rougher.
It was a lot rougher.
It was much foldier.
It was stressful on the joints and a lot of it. Earlier, the shit that they do now is so amazing.
That's what I mean. Is they've really refined it to
Like-
unbelievable quality. It's
Yeah,
really
they're
amazing.
almost as good as the statues themselves.
They are. That one of the Ryu from Street Fighter, which I have no interest in whatsoever, but I thought, man, that's so good. I almost want to get it just to bend it, just to pose it.
Just
You
to
know what I
feel
mean?
his body in my hands.
Just to
move
feel
his
his
skin.
just to feel his supple muscles as I bend
Those
them
muscles.
into unnatural positions.
Oh man, yeah. I want that Beta Ray Bill. That's the other. If I could get that Beta Ray Bill in that fucking that Batman scene. Anyway, so needless to say, the sideshow Ghost Rider statue is absolutely stunning. I mean, it was a little weird putting it together, but it didn't come with instructions. It was like random person that I had to find where the shit went. And I'll be honest with you. Oh man, I don't if and when I move one day, which I probably will. I don't know how I'm gonna pack this thing. This is gonna be one of those things that I may just carry in the car on its own.
Oh, you're not keeping the box?
Well, it's a lot of foam to store.
I keep the boxes for the important stuff. I have the boxes for all the ones.
Remember,
that if they broke,
I moved
would
down
be very
here,
upset.
and I individually packed all my statues. I didn't think they were gonna make it. And when I did, I was pulling heads and arms off and shit like that, and everything made it amazing. But I also individually bubble wrapped every single part of it.
No, I keep the boxes for the ones that if they broke, I would really be upset. That's not all of them. There are statues. Like, look, the Archangel I've got, the Death's Head Archangel, the bone one. If that broke, I'd be bummed about it for a day, and then I'd get over it. But if the black suit Spider-Man that my wife got me broke, I would be upset. Because I've had that for a long time. That was the thing she got me initially that she really put a lot of thought into because she knows how much I like the Black Suit Spider-Man. And like that Two-Face box, which is considerable, and Kaneda's bike box, which is considerable, those motherfuckers are not going anywhere because I'm not losing those things because that shit is important to me. But the other things, yeah, but some things I'm like, no, if this thing made it from wherever to me, it'll make it to wherever.
It'll make it wherever I want it to go.
Exactly. I was very happy that the Two-Face statue was 2 pieces. Because I was kind of like, this is a bunch of stuff to put together. But no, it's just the 2 things, the base and the figure. All right, good. Because if I have to take it apart, it's a hell of a lot easier. Oh, and my Rocketeer. I've got the box for Rocketeer.
Yeah, I still have
Rocketeer ain't going fucking nowhere. One bad thing about California is my fear of earthquakes. Not because I'm afraid I'll get hurt. Because I'm afraid some of these things will break.
Falling off the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, we're living in a different world, so we'll see what.
Yeah, it'll probably be a fire and not an earthquake now. That's the higher likelihood.
Oh my God.
They'll be melted.
Jesus, you're just making it worse. I get fired up with
Spray them or something.
everything. Nothing survived but the statues.
I'm missing my left arm, but my fucking Black Suit Spider-Man's all right.
You just sifted through the
I can
rubble
hold it up
and
with
you're
my
like,
right arm.
hey,
Hey!
Batman's okay.
Spidey's good.
Spider-Man's okay.
Yeah, woo!
Oh, okay. Well, moving on. I want to talk briefly. These are brief reviews. I did not give it. I'm not as good at it. Yeah, it's not the same. But I finally finished that Cordon. I wanted to kind of give my last thoughts on it. Because we know how you and I sometimes talk about what does the future look like, what is the future for now. A lot of our vision of science fiction future, Star Trek.
Excuse, I got to try to get
Star
a
Trek
dollar to get a hot
hasn't
dog.
really evolved in quite a while. So the fact that Stranger Worlds is they're 20 years behind
Something like that.
and it's like, well, it kind of looks the same. So, but I did genuinely have a moment. This walkaway thing where at the end I was like, oh man, that is it's fucked up. And I mean, we talked about how they basically figured out how to make copies of consciousness. And we're not going to get into the clone conversation. Definitely, we have agreed to disagree. But there's this thing in there about how young people are growing up with the existence of simulated when they themselves become simulations. Some of them quite early because isn't that a thing? The idea that you're in your 20s and you're like, you know what? I want to be a simulated person and to basically call it dead person. So basically, go into yourself and to come back as But the weird thing is they're talking about these young people who are doing it, and they're starting to play with this idea, which is the idea of basically entangling your simulation and another simulation and bringing them together. And I just had this image of like, putting two video games together and making them run together, and like how strange that must be to and that did genuinely make me feel kind of like icky and weird about the future for a minute. This idea of like, let's take your consciousness and let's stick this other consciousness and let's just stick them together for a while and see what happens. And to do it like on purpose, I was like, yeah, it's like, you know what, that's nice and weird. It's like we're getting into kind of, that's finally getting into some weird fuck off territory. I enjoyed that. Otherwise, the book Walk Away, I was never unhappy reading this book. I like Cory Doctorow, and I do like the thought experiments that he plays at. I also did find out that Walk Away is supposed to be kind of a prequel in some ways to Down and Out the Magic Kingdom. Did you read Down and Out? Have you read any Cory Doctorow?
Not a one.
Not a one. Okay. Well, this is interesting. I wonder how you'll feel if you read it in order. So Down and Out the Magic Kingdom is a future where there's no currency and everything is basically based on reputation. It's like a digitized leaderboard for reputation. So if you're a huge scumbag, everybody will treat you like a huge scumbag. It's like a digital register, right? Whereas if you're a good person, everybody treats you like a good person based on reputation. And there's no currency, it's just a reputation system. Which is a weird world, but at least it's an alien world, kind of to what our understanding is. And then things happen. Well, Doctor said that he wanted to write a book that was kind of like that. How does a culture end up going from us to them? Like what's the middle? So he wrote this book that, to my knowledge, I think spans like 20 years. I think it's like 20, 25 years. Actually, it might be more because the last, the last chapter of the book is I think like 50, 60. So I think it's the lifespan of a young woman, even though she's not the main character. I kind of go by her because it starts, she's one of the first main characters, and then she is right there at the end. And I think she deadheads herself in her 60s. And when the book starts, she's in her late 20s. So it's like 40 years. And it's interesting. It's very interesting, the stuff that he does. There is a... I don't think that Doctorow is necessarily like the next William Gibson, but I think that if William Gibson is like the tree and all these other writers branch off of, his influence, I think that Cory Doctorow does branch off of Gibson's influence. He's not a clone. He is clearly his own writer, and I do appreciate his book. But there is a strong, in some of his books, I think, there is a strong Gibson, although they are very different. But it was enjoyable. I did like it. Did a lot of fascinating things that I wouldn't have done, which is something I like in books, where the author doesn't just give you the logical thing, but kind of makes the argument for different shit happening that does surprise you. It's not surprising for the sake of surprisal. It's surprising for the sake of surprise.
I don't think surprisal
should be a word. I kind of like the sound of it.
Improvisation, surprisation.
That's another
surprisism.
Surprisism.
Surprisination.
Yes, surprisal, surprise. So he doesn't just do it for the sake of surprise.
Oh wow, I wasn't like that word. Are you sure you didn't mean this, sir?
Yeah, that always happens. Sometimes I'll try and text you in Spanish. So just
I'm sure it is that.
And then he fucking autocorrect was like, no, that's not what you said. No, that's not what you said. I'm like, yes, fucker. I said, como mierda. I had some fun, by the way, with Google Translate today. Where I translated the word asshole, and they kept coming up with estúpido. And I was like, that's not the word for asshole. I was like, estúpido is the word for stupid. And then my wife was like, well, type in stupid asshole and see what it says. And it came back with
the
that.
irony of that suggestion is that they probably have programmed that in as a softer version of what you're typing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Should we let people call somebody else an asshole? Just replace it with stupid.
No.
As
so
if
I
that's
wrote it
better, which it is
I wrote
not.
stupid asshole and had it translate, and it came back with "estupido idiota," which means stupid idiot.
Stupid idiot, sure.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Although I did find out something very interesting when talking about misogyny and culture. Do you know what the word for somebody who likes to be famous is in Spanish?
No, but I guess we're gonna find out.
There is no like easy Spanish word. I mean, I think that kind of thing is basically there. I think it's basically just because I couldn't find a specific translation. But somebody who likes to go down on women.
Is it based on the fact that why would anybody want to do that? Because that's actually putting the woman first. Is that the root of it?
It's called bajador.
No, but it's okay. It sounds like Antonio Banderas is the king of a country, but I know that's not what it's going to be.
It is one who lowers himself.
Well, that makes sense.
Right? But
that's what I would expect. That's where I was going with the other thing. Where I was like, well, there isn't a word because they would look at that as being disrespectful to the man himself or something.
I told my wife that. She just rolled her eyes. I was like, of course that's what it is. Yeah.
Correct response.
You know what? Actually, I'm curious. Is there a different word for a woman who's sex?
Oh, I'm sure there's many words, and it's probably she who is in the right place.
So, what is the word for fellatio? That's what it is.
Yes, fellatio.
Fellatio. Spain.
Find fellatio in Spain. Click here. Well, you know what's funny? You know what the word for fellatio in Italian is?
What?
Fellatio.
There you go, yeah.
I didn't bother changing it.
No, I don't want French, you bastard. Spanish. No, fellación. Yeah. Oral sex on penis. Yeah. Fellación. Mamada. I keep saying mamada. I have never used the word mamada.
What is it?
It's a Spanish word.
Well, I figured that part out. I meant, do you know what,
blowjob.
It means?
It's a slang word for blowjob.
Mamada?
Mamada, yeah.
That sounds like what a child would call their grandmother if they can't pronounce the word correctly.
Yeah, mamada, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't, oh boy, don't make that mistake.
Yeah, man, that's too weird. You ask for it, you go, hey.
Well, the funny, okay,
mamada,
all right,
yeah.
Here's the funny part, is they're probably, because you know young children, as you know, will mispronounce words when they're trying to say the correct word.
Yeah.
Right? So, as an example, my sister, when she was very young, couldn't say truck, so she would say fuck, so I was always trying to get her to say truck, because it pissed my parents off. So I imagine that some child, if somebody, because grandmothers, at least English-speaking grandmothers, will have cute names like, oh, call me Mimi, or call me, and they don't want to be called grandma because somehow an alternate word doesn't mean you're older or something. I've never understood
just call
this,
me
but
something that
whatever.
doesn't make me feel like I'm dying.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure somebody has said something and the child has mispronounced it as mamada. And so I imagine in a public setting, you hear this child going, mamada, mamada. And anybody who speaks Spanish is like, whoa, what is this child asking for? Just fun stuff with different languages. What was the?
Yes,
oh, there's a
if
game.
you want to hear if you want to hear Joe and I discuss the Spanish language at length, you should listen to some of the Far Cry 6 videos we were making recently.
Oh no, I didn't record any of those.
Oh
no. You know why? Because we did so many the first time that I don't know if people are sick of it. So now I haven't recorded any of them.
You missed the whole conversation about Hi Poppy.
Oh yeah, I did feel kind of bad that nobody heard that one.
That's funny, yeah.
Jesus Christ, and as a part of weird symmetry to that, because we're rewatching the run of Frasier, there's an episode where there's a woman who calls this older man. She's like, "Hello, Daddy," and I'm like, "Oh God, that's so gross." In English,
yeah,
but still, it's fucking gross.
That's an automatic. Yeah. If I were single tomorrow, right, and I was with a woman, I said this when we were playing the video game because I heard someone say puppy. If I was with a woman and then she was beautiful and she was fantastic and we were having sex and she said, "Hi, puppy," I'd be like, "Nope, it's done. We're good."
I found an alternate word for blowjob in Italian, which is delightful.
What is it?
Pompino.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I'd like a little Pompino.
Oh no, you know what that would be?
Yeah.
Voglio un po' di Pompino. Di Pompino is a little bit of blowjob.
Man, you almost want to it's like what you call a small child. Hey, Pompino, how you doing?
Okay, the funny part about whatever this website is that they clearly don't know that the automation system does not know what a blowjob is because it's giving example sentences, and the first example sentence.
Well, if you were, is it the man trying to buy a Pompino from a woman?
No. The first. Well, I'll give it in Italian first.
Madame, Do you have
No, it's-
any Pompino today?
No. Cameriere, questo Pompino non è ben cotto. What that means is, waiter, this blowjob ain't ready yet. Oh man.
I can't even imagine what situation that is.
Wait a minute, there's another
Blowjob's
one.
not ready.
Number 4. Oh man. Solo Pompini, nient'altro. Just blowjobs, that's it.
Oh, come on. That sounds exactly like something
Oh,
someone would say in that situation. No. Just blowjobs. That's it.
Oh.
Anyway.
And there's one about Loki who got a blowjob. Where are these examples coming from? Oh. Oh, these are great. This is one of the best websites I've ever found because it clearly doesn't know what this means. So it's
Yes,
using the
yes.
word in standard.
Yeah, it's almost
Oh
like
my-
they're using some kind of stupid AI system.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
man.
speaking of AI, just a
oh.
little brief interlude here. I had to go from, Pompino
I
to...
gotta close this. Pompino. Oh, that's beautiful.
I
Show
had to
title,
go
Pompino.
no, it should be Surprisal Pompino.
Oh yeah, that's it.
No,
That's
a
it.
Pompino Surprisal.
Yep, a Pompino Surprisal. That's great.
I had to go recently to a back-to-school night for kids. And for those who don't know, that's the back-to-school night. Kids' teachers and you see their classes. And her language arts class was that. So every other class I went to, we talked about grading. We talked about what their year would look like, what subjects they'd been studying, stuff like that. I get to the language arts class, and she had basically. She had like a different. She didn't want to explain everything. She just said, "Hey, I have these 3 areas. You guys can go and you can ask me questions." And one area was the books they had access to. Another area was the graded. And the third area was some laptops. They gave them an idea of how AI works, so that you can kind of see it in your kids. And the whole class there was just consumed with the dangers of AI. They just, fucking 6th graders. They lost their minds going, well, how will I know? But what if they, and the teacher's trying to be like, well, it's okay, because, our system uses versions, so, like, I can go back and see if they just dropped it. And I'm sitting there going, dude, if your 6th grader is smart enough to first access ChatGPT, right, and then put the correct commands in to produce writing that then is deceptive enough to make you think that they didn't get it from an AI, there are other problems. Not even problems.
You have larger concerns at that point.
You have larger concerns and should be educating your child in a more advanced setting, because that's not fucking easy. There's adults who can't do that, but the thing is, these parents clearly did not understand how ChatGPT worked, and they were going on about it like it was fucking black magic. Like these kids were going to have fucking novels written for them, and they were going to act like it was theirs. And how would you know if it wasn't theirs? And what's going to happen? And oh my god, my kid's grades and the evil of the magic AI. And I'm sitting in the corner of the room, and it's like, should I get involved? It's like, you know what? I'm not getting involved. I was like, I'm good. I was like, I have a do not engage policy with most people most of the time. I was like, let these people freak the fuck out.
Well, as a bit of, again, unintentional synergy, the last 2 late nights get into specifically at points the idea of creativity and AI from 2 very different, not I should say vastly different perspectives, but
I had a question that I didn't ask because I didn't want to start a fire, which was basically, let's say somebody does use ChatGPT, how much do they have to change it before you allow it? Like, how much does someone have to change this base structure into something else before it's okay? Because, like, I could take a paragraph written by a chat system, right? And then I could manipulate it and change words and alter it. And within 10 minutes, I could give you something that was, I think, different enough that there wouldn't be any issues with plagiarism. Right? Now I'm a trained writer, so it's different for me. But when does it become okay? How much does it have to be changed? Like, how many phrases do I have to change? How many ways do I have to alter this to have it so that it isn't just plagiarism? That it's actually an idea, And it's a tough question because then you start to think, okay, well, you know, when is it no longer that thing? When does it become something else?
Yeah, you're talking about the transformative line. Where
Yes,
is it
exactly.
it's
When is it
transformation?
no longer that? It has become this.
And I don't think anybody has an answer to that yet. They're still trying to figure that out.
No, it's fucking lost their mind. Just hilarious. I mean, and the thing is, just sitting there being like, Jesus Christ, Joe, not having this conversation. It's like, settle down, guys. It's okay. It's like AI isn't going to destroy us.
Well,
But
but I do understand from a parental point of view.
you know, if we were at a high school level, I'd be like, okay, mischievous kids, a lot of computer access, okay. But like, I just don't. I don't see it as a major threat in 6th grade. Not yet. Give it another grade or two.
Okay, but the thing that I will say to
Yeah.
sort of take the other side of it is, you know, I just did a 5 relatively recently about this specific to one example. So, you know, my wife is no dummy. My wife in many ways
Yeah.
is far smarter than I will ever be. We were watching a baseball game and a Apple commercial came on for their Apple Intelligence, right?
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen any of
I was
these
going
yet.
to ask you what the fuck that even is.
Apple Intelligence. Well, it's there. That's how they don't have it being called AI. It is because it's Apple Intelligence. Listen, Apple. I will credit, and I've said this. Apple is doing
Is it
this.
just
I think, the
ChatGPT
smart-
in an iPhone?
No. It's twofold. So there is an entirely. I actually really like what Apple's doing here. This is one of the examples of when Apple comes to something late. It's because they've been thinking about it and they think they know how to do it better. And a lot of times they have their head up their ass and they're just huffing their own farts. But sometimes they're right.
Toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity. But in this case, I think they're right because what they have is inherently on the phone, there will be a completely sealed off version of an assistant that they've made and constructed that will do as much as it can. And when it hits the barrier of what it can do, it will ask you, do you want me to connect to an external source? And as far as I understand, they're going to be open to everything. I think they've already name checked OpenAI, but my understanding is they're going to eventually just integrate with everybody. And if you specifically allow it, and it will tell you what that means, that, okay, we have to send this information out then, are you okay with that? Then it will go beyond its boundaries, but it will attempt to do as much as it can completely within the device and within Apple's ecosystem to protect you so that you don't have to go out. And so there's 3 commercials that have come out for this thing. I wasn't even aware they were running, so this caught me completely by surprise. Of course, I know what Apple Intelligence is, but so this commercial came on, and the individual with the iPhone, because they're promoting it a lot with iPhone 16, if that's the most one, I don't know the version of those. But anyway, this individual.
But everyone's going to get it down to 14.
I think so. Yeah, I think eventually. It's not even out yet. The first version of it comes out in iOS 18.1, which I think will be out in the next 3 months or so, or whenever. It doesn't matter. So the commercial for something you can't even use yet, which I find hilarious, but whatever. Because I wonder if people will try this and realize they can't do it, which I don't know.
Hello, computer. Hello, computer. Hello, computer.
Apple's marketing department seems to have lost its ability to be as good as it used to be. I'll say that in general terms. I'm pretty confident saying that because, boy, they've been hitting themselves in the face with a rake they stepped on, that they placed on the lawn a lot. But this commercial came on randomly, and it's a person with an iPhone at a party and spots across the room somebody that they had met with a week or two, whatever, before. And the person waves and starts to come over, and the person grabs their phone, or has their phone, goes around the corner for a second, and says, I won't say the name of the assistant so it'll trigger it, but, whatever. He said, hey, Apple
Shitbag.
Assistant. Yeah, shitbag. Hey, shitbag. Hey, shitbag, who was the person I met with 2 weeks ago at, I don't know, Lombardi's, whatever.
Lord
And
Satan.
it comes back and says, yeah, Lord Satan, at Satan's bar. And it comes back and says, oh, hello, underling. The person that you met with name is Zach Baggins. And I'm like, okay, great. And so they come around the corner.
I love that the AI called it.
No, it didn't. I did not. But
No.
yeah.
Hey. I'm applauding your creativity.
Oh. Well, I went in with the Satan's bar. So then the person spins around the corner, and sure enough, Zach is right there. And they say, oh, hey, Zach, I haven't seen you in a while. And he goes, oh, I didn't think you'd remember me. And the person goes, because I don't know what this person
Of course I did. Wink, wink.
Yeah, they say, oh, only Zach walks like that, which I thought was a little strange, because I'm like, really? So you're supposed to be paying attention to how the person walks? And then they look at the camera and wink. And so this is, to be fair.
You know what? There was a whole bunch of shit in Cory Doctor's book about how they have software for gait analysis.
Oh, well, that's real, yeah. But it's a weird example for a normal person to say
Hey
to somebody
man,
else.
I knew you from the way you walked over. You've got that limp from that syphilis.
Well, I was going to say, it implies that you walk differently than, I guess, normal people, but passing all that
everybody,
by.
but the whole idea is that everybody walks differently.
Sure. The core concept is actually something I think most people would want, because there are people who have a condition where they can't recognize faces. There are people who have bad memories, like me. So would it be nice? The dream has always been to have a pair of glasses that have a little display on them when you want it that says, so if you see somebody go, oh, crap, who is that? It will just pop up a little thing with information so you remember. So you don't insult somebody and make them feel bad or think that you forgot about them, because, most people don't want to be scumbags to other people, in general, unless you're on the road, of course, and you're merging. But past that, most of us try to be considerate if we can. If there are people
Hey, shitbag, find the message or the number for that guy in that car and tell him he's a fucking dick.
Hey, shitbag, look up this license plate and then give me telekinetic power so I can throw that car into a tree.
Right away, underling.
I'm on it, underling. Don't worry about it. All I have to do is sacrifice 2 goats and I'll have it for you in 15 minutes. Great. All right,
man, that's what I want the Satan system.
Wouldn't it be great? I mean, eventually you'll be able to customize it.
Satan, find out who that guy is and punish him. Just sacrifice
You know
2 goats and they'll get right on that.
that will happen. You will be able to say, hey, Satan, and the thing will wake up, which I applaud. I want. So anyway, the use case makes a lot of sense.
I just had this incredible vision of like magic-based technology.
Oh, hey, Satan. Yeah. Or hey, Mephisto. And that's
hey, Apple's new Satan intelligence will totally get the job done for you.
Yeah. Demonic powers inside.
Just smear the deer's blood on the screen of your phone and right away.
You have to unlock with your fingertip, and it has to be covered in goat's blood. So if it's not, you'll recognize it and say, like Jurassic Park, So, okay. So the use case makes a lot of sense. I can see it. Or somebody has a sight problem or something. Like there's a lot of ways that it makes sense. But my wife saw this commercial, and she made a face like I had just shoved rotten eggs up her nose. And she said, what, is my phone now going to keep track of everything? Because if you don't know what this is, that's what it looks like.
Is. Yeah,
well,
it kind of already is, though. I mean,
and I said, well...
No, here's the thing. If you put your whole schedule in your phone, which is what they're weirdly assuming, then to some degree, yeah, if you write every meeting that you have, like if you...
Do you want to try?
This is like a search engine, right? A search engine is only as good as people's ability to list the shit that you need to know, right? And I'll give you a great example of this. Tonight, or today, I and my wife were helping my daughter clean her room. And we were trying to go through and figure out where things were supposed to go. Well, my daughter has decided that any, I guess, warm piece of upper body wear is a hood. Doesn't matter if it's knit, if it's sweatpant material, if it's got a hood or no hood, or if it's a zip. No, it's a hood. It's all hoodie. And I'm like, hey, like, how the hell are you gonna find shit if all these different objects are hoodies? And she's like, well, I'll find them. I'll know where they are. And I'm like, no, you won't, because you didn't know where they were. It's like, but if you don't, like, you have to properly give this stuff terminology so that you know where to look for it. And that is a microcosm of the problem that search engines have, which is that these systems are only as good as people's ability to file the names of things correctly so it can find it. That's why this whole image search that you think you can like circle something on an image and then they'll be like, I'll find that right away.
Circle this.
Like you're kind of bypassing the filing structure and going straight to just visual matching, which the computers can do better than people can file shit. But that's the thing is that an assistant like that will only be as good. Satan will only help you as good as you have things filed in your life. If your life is random and you don't got shit on your phone, if you're one of those people who doesn't have a contact list in your phone, and there are people like that who like just don't even have a contact list. It's like, well, how is your phone going to help you with this shit? You can't. It can only be as invasive as you are organized enough for it to be that invasive. On some level. There are many levels where it can be very invasive and it can infer things based on all kinds of information you didn't realize you were giving it. But there's a lot of information you can also not give it so that it will not just know fucking everything. It definitely won't know Rick or Dick or whatever his name was loping across the room to you with his strange horse cage.
Right. And so that was the thing that I had to explain because, again, most people don't know that distinction. Not because they're dumb, it's because they don't. My wife has no interest in technology. Outside, she uses her phone like most people does, right? Most people do, but she doesn't care how it does what it does. Why? Because it's not important.
She's got other shit to do.
Right. So I explained, because she thought, okay, the phone is just ingesting everything and watching me or listening to me. And I said, no, I think what it's doing, because the way it was phrased, well, no, it isn't, because it won't know what you don't, as you said, if you don't keep anything in your calendar, when she,
Hey, listen,
when
Honda thinks they can tell you what your sexual activity level is.
oh, don't get me
based on-
wrong. I'm not saying that there aren't companies trying to do it, but I'm saying in this case, that the query specifically referred to a meeting that was in the calendar. I said, no, what it's doing is it's looking up the calendar item that had the person's name. And her level of revulsion went from, I'll say, 95 to 75. She still didn't like it because she said, I don't want that. And I went,
I
boy.
want the digital assistant to do shit like, hey, play me every song on my phone that starts with the letter B.
It will do that. No, it will. It will do that.
No, it won't. I've tried a few times, and it keeps going.
No,
I don't
no,
really
no.
know what you're saying.
It won't
I don't think I
today.
can do that.
It
oh,
will.
Okay, so you're saying
it
right
will,
now.
Yes. Because
Skynet
they've already
will do it. Right as it
they've
wipes
already
me
got.
out. But you know.
They already have demos of what it's going to do, and a lot of it is this. A lot of it is going to be very useful. This is the thing about these tools is when they're applied properly, they are actually very useful to most people. Where you will be able to, because they've already got the photos version, you can basically say, find me a picture of my daughter on the beach, assuming that you tag the stuff and you have it organized that way,
and that's
and it will find it.
I haven't tagged anybody on my phone.
Well, then you can't. Then it's not going to do that for you because you can't expect it to. But the music it will because it's
But
there.
it knows me. It knows me, and it knows who I am, and it has my name.
Well,
so
it
it's
has
very
to.
funny because it has this thing where it'll be like, look, a photo of Orlando and 3 others.
Yeah, well, because
like,
you have to
there you
register
go.
your name with Apple and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So of course
yes.
it's going to know you.
Oh, of course
but
they
your
know
music
who I am,
library, because it's stored there, you will be able to say, I want you to make me a randomized playlist of every single song that is 5 letters long that starts with an A, and it will be able to do it. It might take a minute.
Play me every song about sex.
That's the interesting part is if the song is tagged in such a way, you would assume people do input this information, it should be able to do it.
It depends on the input. If you don't file it, it might not know it.
No, but it's not going by you in that case. Your query is broad enough that it will look at Apple's servers, and if somebody else has tagged a song as sex, it's going to respond.
It'll be interesting to degree to how it can infer information.
Yeah, if you say from my library, it's going to have a tough time. If you say it in general, it will look in the Apple library, and if somebody has tagged it, then it will work. Which, that stuff I like. That's useful. It will be, for somebody like my mother, who loses track of things all the time, I want her to put everything into that iPhone. Because that way, when she panics and she's trying to find something that somebody emailed her 6 months ago because it's important for some reason, medical, whatever, I want her to be able to just say it to the phone and it responds.
There is always a positive function for this technology.
Yes.
It's just that then you run it through the moron filter.
Well, right, but that's why I will give Apple credit for that. I like that its default is on-device
It's not just the
only.
moron filter. You run it through the moron filter, you run it through the positive filter, and then you run it through the we just want to make money and fuck you filter.
Yes.
Where
the thing is,
they're,
Apple will make money by default because I'm sure it will be eventually you will pay for this along with your other Apple services, and that's how they'll make money.
How much intelligent do you want it to have? What level of IQ do you want your?
No, I mean it's going to be all or nothing, but it's going to be a thing where you'll have to pay how your cloud storage runs out very quickly because everybody stores their photos on their phone, and inevitably you run out of space, and it's like, hey, I can give you 50 gigs for $1 a month. So it's good, right? And you won't lose anything by it.
Do you use cloud storage?
I only do because I have a family. I don't keep anything on my devices, so I never have. I offload stuff all the time.
I don't use cloud storage.
I turned it on. I told my mother to do it. I said for $12 a year, because she was.
Does she keep shit on her phone?
She keeps it all on her phone. No, she has all her photos on there. Because she keeps losing the drives I buy for her, and I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? It's not worth having her stress out.
It's getting harder to make sure that you store stuff because they don't want you to. Like just the process of getting photos off of the phone.
Well, what
just like drag and drop. Now
it takes knowledge.
Do it through our program.
The problem is it takes knowledge and it takes a little bit of patience, and a lot of people don't have that.
Yes.
And again, my mother's a perfect example. I've bought her at least 3 external hard drives to keep her photos on, and she's now they're not really lost. They're in the house somewhere. I know they're in there somewhere, but she'll never be able to find them.
The gremlins, they've taken them.
As opposed to me being able to say to her, it's okay, it's in the cloud. Even if your phone gets destroyed, it's there. I just got her a Mac. I got her a MacBook Air specifically because now all her stuff is available instantly on the computer.
Is what's going to happen.
No,
It's so small.
No.
It's going to fall between the couch cushions.
It's not going to get lost. I put a case on it. I made it very hard to lose. I already registered it.
It's
Find mine.
fluorescent
I've got
yellow.
it. I know where it is. Like I'll be
Put
able
an
to
air
track
tag
it.
on it.
Oh yeah, no. I did basically. It's. I have a way to track it, so I will know where it is. But the important point is that if she says I need to find a photo and it was on her phone, it's going to be on there. So she doesn't have to go find her. It's just easier. And for her, that's fine. For me, it would never work. I want all my stuff backed up onto a drive and in the cloud. But I know how to do that. And I'm not going to make her learn that at this point in her life to be stressed out if she makes a mistake and calls me in a panic. This stuff is made to be easy. So fine. For $12 a year, who fucking cares?
And that's the thing, is that it's becoming kind of just so everyday that,
It's, you know what? I'm very happy that option exists for people who don't have the time or knowledge or patience for it. Better that they have something than nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I will never use Face Unlock on any device in my entire life. Will not ever. Because cops just have to hold up a phone to your face or whatever. And even though I don't go out there and break the law all the time, I don't like it. So I will never use it. Did I tell my mother to use it? Absolutely, because she can't remember passwords. So it's better than nothing. And plus,
Yes,
I don't think my mom's robbing banks. So fine, use Face Unlock. I'm glad it's there for her.
Listen, in the argument of it's better than nothing, sure, of course.
No, that's the
But
and
for
that's the
you.
thing. Security is a
for you.
set of inconveniences. How much are you willing to put up with?
Oh, and that's the thing. Everything is a set of inconveniences. Anything you
Right.
want to get done right is going to be a set of inconveniences
Right.
that you then have to navigate.
So Apple Intelligence will have a limitation on what you put into it, and then you'll have to make a decision on whether you want to give more information to the device or you want to go outside the boundaries, and then you take that risk. That's
Comical
up to you.
thing to me is that the new 16s that are coming out aren't even that much of an improvement, other than the Apple Intelligence.
Well, and the dedicated camera button, which for the right people is enough of a difference.
They're bringing back buttons.
Well, that's
Remember when
I
they
said
were like,
I.
Remember when they
No.
were like, no buttons. We fucking hate all buttons.
I did a 5 on that too, where I said I give Apple a lot of shit, but I'm glad that they've decided that going buttonless is stupid. And it's because the people who worked with Johnny Ive and were of that dogma are gone. And now they have realized that it was a dumb idea. They at least have reversed because they've purged themselves of the fools in that particular regard. They've instead replaced them with fools in marketing, but that's a separate discussion. But the people who are doing hardware design have realized, and maybe it's because they couldn't get it to work. Hey, whatever, I don't care why. Maybe they figured out that trying to do haptic borders is not going to work.
I would prefer if there was a series of small buttons along the side of the device.
Well,
Not
there's
a lot
one.
of them.
There's
I
one.
know there's one, but like just a few. Give me like 2 or 3, up in the upper area of the phone, that I could then set up to do whatever I wanted to do.
I wouldn't be shocked if there is a version that comes out that has another button, maybe on the other side, like 2 action buttons or something. I mean, you have to be careful because on a phone it can be easy to accidentally trigger buttons. So I get why they don't want to have it.
It
loaded
is,
with
yeah.
buttons,
Yeah.
but-
There should be a way to lock it out. But I mean, listen, these
And
devices
I do
have-
like that the new one is only for the camera. Some people are like, oh, why can't you remap that? I'm like, no, you know what? I think that's good because then you have
because
muscle memory to
it
the
is
camera, which
the
is what most
camera
people
that-
use the most of their phone. That's what they use.
It's the camera that most people use.
Right.
And
So
it has-
having
and
that
it has-
and then
and
let
it
the
has
action
been
button be
a-
whatever, good idea.
A smartphone has changed the way all of us take pictures and the amount of pictures that we take.
Yeah, well,
We all
Most
have
of
a
us.
computer. In fact, I finally got tired of my Android case because I miss it. It's really the reason. Because leather is beautiful, and I love hot red leather.
Sure.
But when you have really greasy hands and life happens, hot red leather gets like a greasy cast very easily. And that is nothing against the company. They make beautiful. I mean, I know we had somewhat of a good experience. The case didn't fit.
well,
They were
the
very
case was beautiful. I just couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, exactly. So like I have this phone case, and I like it, but I have beat the shit out of it. And the thing is that
Sure.
like, you know, I get bored, and like every year or so, I'd like to like try a different case for a while. Like I might come back, but right now, just the amount of like hand oil and grease and like, just water and everything, and like I've taken my phone kayaking, and you know, lake water, river water doesn't really. So I just realized that I wanted to get a case, and when I was looking at cases, I was like, I wonder if there's any cases that make taking photos like better cases.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
There are, but they don't really, unless you're a professional photographer, they don't improve it enough to warrant the money if you are going to raise that for music.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a professional user and you're going to make videos and shit like that, it makes a difference. Right? Because you are, I know this is one of the cases of photos, which is really cool, that it builds a cage around the phone that can then be put with handles and stands and like, all these different things. But it's like, I don't need that. I just want something that can allow me to plug in better occasional lenses. The thing is that the camera is good enough. The lenses don't do enough to warrant how much shit. And the cases that they use that act as cages to hold stuff on, they're great at being a camera cage, but they aren't necessarily good at being a protected phone cage. You know what I mean? So the toss-up isn't worth it. So I was like, I'd probably go back to it. Just to see if I like that. You know what I really miss? I miss Element. Element used to make really cool cases years ago. I had an iPhone 2 for years and years and years. No issue with it. I didn't upgrade for the longest time because Element made this case. It was essentially a carbon fiber box that you could screw your phone into. And it was awesome. It felt like I had a tricorder from Star Trek. I loved that thing. And when I finally took it out to trade in for, I think they had it for the longest time. It looked brand new. It looked fucking brand new because this case had just been so protected. Not to mention, I don't remember the old iPhones scratching as much as the new ones. This glass is supposed to be so fucking amazing, and yet it gets scratched like hell. Is that me? Is that something that I'm misremembering?
I don't really remember either, so I don't know if that's really the case or if it's. It may be true. I mean, the problem is that a lot of the phones are far thinner, so I would imagine the screens are too. So maybe it is a case where they are more inclined to be scratched. It's possible. It wouldn't shock me exactly if the older glass was thicker, so it actually could sustain more, even though I know some of those say it doesn't make any sense of scratching. But I don't know. I mean,
because my wife
Excuse us, we try to get $1 to get a hot dog. That's
oh well, that's just you're just waiting for that.
oh my god, the scratches that she has.
Oh sure.
And the other day she was like, I don't need scratches. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I held her phone for the light. And I was like, look at all this shit. I was like, you can't see this? I was like, there's virtually a highway of scratches across your screen. She doesn't see it when it's lit up.
Well, maybe that's where they've got it improved, is they made it where you can't really see
You
it.
can't see it. So, getting back to my original statement, Cory Doctor's Walk Away is a good one. I realized that was something that was so far away. This is why my reviews aren't as good as yours, because yours are like a beautiful narrative. Actually, I enjoy the way that you change it as you tell it. Whereas my reviews, like I'm interested in the object, but then I'm also interested in what the review, what ideas it brings up. Sure. Staying in the name. I finally finished Shogun, which recently won like every fucking award. And damn it, I thought it was good, which is not, like it isn't a big
It's such
shocking.
a weird. I was going to say the way you said that was as if everybody hated it. And you were like, damn it, I thought it was good.
No, if anyone loves it, that's the thing. Everyone loves it. Everyone says it's great. Guess what? It is great. Like, I have nowhere to go beyond that. Yeah, it was fucking awful. And the thing is, I remember I was talking to you, and you didn't know that the whole thing was in Japanese. You thought that maybe they like dubbed it or something.
Yeah. I just assumed.
Yeah, the thing is, that my wife called it basically like we were watching a foreign show. Because, like, other than the main guy, who's actually, what's funny is whenever they speak English, they are technically actually speaking Portuguese. Yeah. So basically, they made Portuguese sound like English, but then everything else is Japanese. So by the end of the show, I mean, the main guy is speaking Japanese as well because he's finally learning. So, like, there's very little, if any, English towards the end of that show. Not to mention, he has no one to talk to. So I think there's, like, by the end of the show, there's, like, a priest and him. And that's it. Those are all the English speakers you've got. But I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I grew up loving samurai movies when I was a kid. Samurai movies and westerns. You know, I love Seven Samurai. I love all the Akira Kurosawa movies. I grew up with that stuff. I adore it. And this felt like this felt like halfway between like an old school samurai movie and Westworld. I think it had a strong Westworld look, right? But then the story was very old. It's based on other shit. And they handled it really well. They adapted it well. The costume was fucking amazing. And it's weird to say that, but like I've always loved that samurai armor and the robes and the attire. It was just something so. It's like this fetish like quality pattern. So the show was absolutely stunning to look at. You know, and it's and at times it's a bit depressing because Japanese culture in that time period was to some degree very oppressive. You were kind of locked into your position of where you were in that society, and the sad part of it is kind of watching an outsider slowly get adapted and absorbed into it to the point at which gets back to his crew in the show. He's he has joined the culture.
It's like in Dances with Wolves when they get Kevin Costner and they say you've gone native.
Yeah, oh yeah, and
like
that's
that.
exactly what it is. Yeah, he goes native at the end. You know? And everyone's in it. And honestly, there's this one guy. There's this one character. He's this big asshole, and he is constantly, quietly, like double crossing everybody, right? And even though he's responsible for the death of like one of these other main characters in the show, that I was like, oh no, but like you knew it was going to happen. You just knew it. Even though he is technically responsible. Later on in the show, when he then is apart, I felt really bad because like he was just such a lovable.
Try to get $1 and get a hot dog.
And he had this incredible sort of arc to the show where like he gets to the point where he realizes that yeah, he probably should be thinking about it. You know, and there's this great sequence that is totally earned at the end of the show where the main samurai lord, he is the second to perform, so he's the second.
Stop you from suffering for too long.
Yeah, so he asks the Lord to be his second, and so the two of them are standing on this cliff, and it's just the two of them, and the scoundrel basically says to him, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna die, just tell me what's going on. He's like, you've got no audience, I'll take it for free. And they sit there and they have this like really incredible moment where like you almost wonder for a second if he's gonna kill him. And then you're like, oh no. That's because you thought you were watching an American show. It's like, that's not it. He's like, he's gonna kill him. I was like, from the moment that guy showed up, I was like, he's performing separately. This guy's gonna cut his head off. I was like, and that's the reason why he's willing to talk to him. Because he's really talking to somebody who can take his head. And it's just the show has a lot of fun. And you know, at times, like it is depressing because people are trapped at times in this culture that they cannot escape. They are trapped in these cultural situations that because they believe it, because it is their culture, they cannot escape it. You know, people who want to die basically cannot die because culturally they have a loyalty. They are not allowed to die. Do you know what I mean? So I loved it. It is, we said that the first season of Westworld is like a perfect season.
Yeah.
I would say that the first season of the show is I don't want to say it's perfect because I do feel like there's a few little things that are left hanging slightly. I'd have to rewatch the show to pinpoint to actually like pinpoint where, but I get the feeling that there were some things that weren't completely spoken for. But overall, I would say this is probably as close to Westworld, as close to a first season of Westworld as I've seen since. Near perfect. The fact that they now want to make more is interesting because I think, as you thought they were going to make the next book in the series. But the thing is that the next book in the series takes place, I think, like 200 or 300 years later. And all the Shogun books they jump forward like 200 or 300 years. I think the last book takes place in like the 80s or something. That's not what they're making the sequel to. They want more samurai action. That's what people want. So they're going to make supposedly 2 more seasons that take place in feudal Japan with the remaining cast of characters, or whatever new characters they bring into it, which is going to be weird because you're off the reservation. No more source material. Now, the thing that they do have, which is the English character, is based off of a real person, a British merchant who ended up, which the book is based on, who ended up becoming a samurai and having his own house and his own staff and fully native. And I think that they're basing the next 2 seasons off roughly, they're using that history as the basis for where the story is going to go. Because that guy did exist and that guy did continue on. His story did continue on in Japan, so there is more story there. But you never know. So, before they do that, watch the first season of Shogun. It is near perfect. As perfect as Westworld. Right. Now, I like the rest of Westworld. I haven't seen the last 2 seasons, but I did like Westworld when it was going. It was fun. I will watch another season if they make this, because samurai action is fun. But I am wary of where they're going to go, because it's like the whole Game of Thrones thing. They caught up to George R. R. Martin. Like, okay, just tell us what we need to know. We'll figure it out. And then everyone was like, that was the worst season of fucking... Apparently the showrunners were not as deft in their storytelling without George R. R. Martin's specific writing. And that's the fear, that they're going off of the James Clavell reservation and trying to write their own stuff. Like, okay, well, are you going to get actual writers? It's like, because that's the thing, is like your source material is a renowned, award-winning novel. So, are you going to get like renowned, skilled writers to be writing this, or is this just a cash grab? Is this a, hey, we won a bunch of Emmys and everybody watched it, let's just make more, who cares? Like, that's the thing. That's the thing I always worry about. Is it a cash grab, or are you making me more art? Because there are shows that are astounding, and there are shows that are like, just get as many seasons out as you can. Like, I actually get a bit thrown off when I see that a show's going around for like 10, 9, 15 seasons. I'm like, really? It's like, you're like, how is that? Sometimes when you open, I'll see like a flash or something. News flash or something. Its 9th season will be its last. And I'm like, I didn't even know there was 1 season of the show. Now, I know David Boreanaz because he was Angel in the Buffy series. Angel in the Angel series, right? And after that, I think he did Bones. I know that he did Bones, which was like a CSI type show, right? I didn't know he was doing a Navy SEAL show. I certainly didn't know there was 9 seasons of it. But the fact that there are 9 seasons of it, I'm kind of like...
Do you want to try?
That just feels so...
Oh, look, Law and Order ran for, 21 You can do it.
I know, but
Find,
like Law and Order,
if you
but
find a pattern and repeat it, you can do it forever.
I know, but Law and Order, even that started to grate on me. But I think it's because they varied their cast so much.
Okay, the reality is the quality level probably is not steady
Hit
through
or
all
miss.
21
It's
seasons.
always hit or
That's what I'm
miss.
saying is,
But they
enough
varied
people
their
watch it. Who
cast.
cares? I mean, Jag
like-
ran for how long? And
Did it? I never liked Jag.
just like the fact that Jag off is a very common insult.
Are you sure you're not searching for Jagoff?
Jag ran for 10 seasons. Right?
Well, Supernatural ran for what, like 18 or something?
Yeah,
ridiculous
but
like
from
that?
my understanding, Supernatural stayed pretty consistent the whole way through. I think because it was a show that flew under the radar and nobody cared, but there were enough people that kept it on. There are a lot of... Supernatural is a Gilmore Girls type of show where when you find those people, you fucking find those people. And that's great. That's fine. You know. Okay,
Yeah,
I never had any interest in it, but whatever.
I kind of hover around like the 4 or 5 seasons. The show goes beyond 4 or 5 seasons.
Well, yeah. No, I typically do too.
Unless
but
unless it took a while for them to warm up too, because like the first season of Next Generation, you're like, that's okay. The rest of Star Trek Next Generation, a lot of fun,
listen,
right? First season of Farscape, not as good as the rest of Farscape.
Big Bang
But even
Theory
Farscape,
is ran for 12 seasons. Okay, it's garbage. But it ran for 12 seasons. So what I'm saying is, you sit there and go, how can something run for 9 seasons? Obviously, they had enough of an audience. As simple as that. Doesn't matter whether we think it's good or not.
I find these shows to be so repetitive.
Well, they are, but there's a comfort in repetition. There is. A lot of people.
You and I differ. Cause like, there's
No,
a
no,
lot
no.
of shows
I'm not
you-
saying that I.
No,
agree
because
with
hey,
that.
I know you like Everyone Loves Raymond.
Oh, no. You miss. No, I do not. There are episodes that are very good. No.
Okay.
No.
I thought
We
you did.
watched. No. We watched. There are 2 huge sitcoms that my wife and I watched once:
Okay.
Seinfeld and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, you watched all the Seinfeld.
Yeah, well, because this is the thing. When it was on, my wife and I both kind of missed it. We just didn't care, so we never watched it.
Yeah.
But it's often heralded as a great show, and I thought, well, let's give it a run. And it wasn't ever terrible. We never thought it was so bad we turned it off.
The humor is completely lost on me.
It is okay.
realize.
It is funny. There is something interesting about it because of what it was at the time it was. Most sitcoms at that time had a gimmick. And Seinfeld's gimmick was, we have no gimmick. It was a show that had no real purpose. That's why they called it a show about nothing. Now, watching it once, it is interesting to see how that unfolds over how many seasons they had. Plus, it has one of the most hated endings of all time. But I actually think it's a pretty good ending for what the show is. It specifically had no ending because the show had no purpose.
Yeah, how do you bring
interesting.
that to a close?
Yeah, they did. They really just did it. It doesn't really have an ending. It just stops. And number one, I think that's a bold decision for a show that was at the time the whole thing that held up the network it was on. Let's be honest. But also to watch it, there is this interesting idea of how do you write a show like this, and there is some interesting writing. The characters are extremely well defined. Will I ever watch it again? Absolutely not. I got it. I got it in one shot. Was it worth watching?
What
Yeah.
shows will you watch again?
Frasier's one of them. Frasier's great. Frasier is
Yes.
an amazing example of.
I've caught episodes of Frasier and they were funny, but I never had the inclination to sit down and watch them.
I think it is a very, very superb example of how to get characterization right. They nailed the 3 main characters, the father and the 2 brothers, so well. So well, it is mesmerizing because, I mean, now this will differ on what you grew up with, but I remember watching Cheers with my mother. My mother loved Cheers. I rewatched Cheers about 6 months ago. Not all of it. I started rewatching it and I went, yeah, this is not as good. Frasier is superior.
Is there more Frasier than there is Cheers?
Ooh, it might be equal, actually. Hold on, let's see. It might be the same, because Frasier was 10 seasons. Or 11.
You know
I
what?
think it was 11.
It's funny that before you started talking about Cheers, I actually forgot for a second that Frasier was from Cheers. That's how much that character has gone.
Well, not only that, but what's fascinating...
And actually, here's a question, and this I don't know the answer to this, I'm asking.
Sure.
Did they ever bring characters from Cheers over as guests?
Okay, well, this. I was just
Other
getting to
than his
this.
ex-wife.
To a degree that seems like it would make sense today, but was unusual for the time. No, constant characters. All of the main Cheer, well, not all. Let's see. At least Sam shows up, Diane shows up, Norm, Cliff.
Yeah, because I mean, if,
Carla.
for a character who spent a lot of time in a bar,
Yes.
you would expect that those people would then pop up in his
The
life.
majority of the main cast, all I think except for who played Rebecca? What was that actress's name? She was in summer school. Oh God, I'm forgetting her name. Kirstie Alley. Kirstie Alley is, I think, and the guy who died because he was dead. Kirstie Alley and the original coach who Woody replaced. Those are the only two that I think did not appear on Frasier for at least one episode. Lilith comes back. And the thing is, they carried on a lot of storylines. And what's astonishing about it is you don't need to have seen Cheers. This is what I mean about it's really well written, staggeringly well written for what it is. And they adopted a very British sense of humor for the main characters, specifically Frasier, in that one of the things that is a hallmark of British humor is that the main characters kind of know that they're going to be losers. They almost anticipate their own failure, which is very different from American humor, where the characters are generally overconfident to a point of arrogance. And so
but it's usually on some level of absurdity.
It is, and the humor is in watching them fail and them not understanding why. Frasier is British in his acceptance of the fact that he is a loser for a lot of the show. And so it makes it funny because he has these reactions that are very British in terms of, I mean, there's one where they're lying about who he is, and at one point his brother says, oh, and he's impotent, and his reaction is just like, sure, yeah, I'm impotent. Like, he just does this gesture, and it's magnificent because he says nothing, but it communicates that, sure, you already think I'm an idiot, so why not that too? It's just, so it is different. That show we rewatch almost yearly, if not a couple times a year, because the humor is consistently good, and the performances are excellent. But it is, in particular, the fact that the show revolves around as really 4 characters. And that's it. And they managed to, now in seasons, I want to say like 8, 9, you can feel that they sort of didn't know what to do, and then they managed to reinvigorate it for the last couple seasons, and specifically like 10 and 11. They really found it again. So they ended it, also has one of the best endings of any show, which they undid when they did the new reboot of it, which is not as good. But has such a wonderful ending because it sets you up for something and then does something completely different. But it makes complete sense for the show. It's a very well crafted show. I'm not going to say that it doesn't have its weak points. I'm not saying that its quality level doesn't dip here and there.
But did you enjoy it more than Seinfeld?
Oh, it's not even a comparison. It's not even close. And Everybody Loves Raymond is the same thing. Once you see the gimmick, it doesn't work anymore. You know, and that show too. I mean, I don't remember much of Seinfeld. I don't remember much of Everybody Loves Raymond, really. But, or like Northern Exposure. I'm rewatching Northern Exposure now, which I haven't seen because as if this matters, but I was like, I refuse to watch this show without the original music because the rights were all tied up for you, so you couldn't get it with the original music in it. And the episode I remember the most distinctly, which has a real emotional resonance for me, is one where they use an Enya track at the end of the episode, which makes me cry every time I see it. They took the track out.
Did they just re-record it?
Well, they did did generic stuff that sounds similar, but it's not the songs. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to rewatch this until they restore the music, which they did. And so I bought it immediately because I'm like, this could fail next year. They can take it back off. So I bought the Blu-rays instantly. And I rewatched that episode, and it was every bit as good as I remember it. And that show is excellent. And I remember a lot of that show, having not seen it in probably like 20 years. And so the fact that I remember that show and many of the things, and it holds up magnificently well because it was very different from everything else on television at the time. Now it seems like something you'd see anywhere, but you have to remember when it came on. But, I mean, one of the main characters is a very, very small-minded bigot, and yet you don't hate him because it's not out of a point of malice. It's out of a point of, it's a very kind of macho, old-school attitude. And so everybody thinks of him as kind of a buffoon, but at the same time, he's not one-dimensional. And that was something different for the time. They were playing around with different things. So that show, I would say, holds up very well. Like, I'll start watching that every year on my own. I'll probably watch it with my wife. I don't think she ever saw it. But, whereas Seinfeld and Everybody Loves Raymond, fuck it, they're nothing. They're nothing.
I think we've come a long way that a non-English speaking show can be as popular as this.
Oh, I agree. I'm very happy to see that.
Because there's a lot of people we know who still are like, subtitles? Fuck that.
Yeah, a lot of shows will fall into just having everybody, they'll pull either the Red October trick where suddenly Russians start speaking in English because we zoomed in, or they'll do a universal translator and suddenly, Farscape, put a thing in them and then now we can understand all the aliens.
I still think 13th Warrior did the best job of that.
Well, same director, so yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think we've come far that a show like this can
Yeah.
That demonstrates a culture that is as alien to us as it can be.
Sure.
It has different priorities. Yeah, so I thought it was great. But yes, I'm not a sitcom guy. And I just don't
I'm often not either, I'll be honest. I'm not.
Far more than me. I do that. You are definitely
well, more
my
than you,
sitcom
but
whisperer.
most of them are so disposable and empty. We only own maybe 3 that we watch over and over. Yeah. I can think of, it would be Frasier, Roseanne, and...
I'll admit that I couldn't.
Okay, here's the thing about Roseanne. Because it's an asterisk. You can't watch it past... what's her face?
I just couldn't watch it.
No, I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
After Darlene Gets Married, stop. Because it has the same problem that Modern Family did, which is 5 seasons, and it sucks after that. So it is that magic number. Up to that part, Roseanne 2, a lot of what makes it work is it shows a part of American life that most sitcoms didn't bother with, which was people who were barely making it. Now, it had its problems in that it was centered around a mostly white cast, so there were black characters, and there were gay characters, and their stuff was dealt with, I think, very maturely at times, but it was, it was not a very diverse show, but you didn't see a lot of, even a white cast, you did not see a ton of...
I didn't find it entertaining.
Well, the thing that makes it work is John Goodman. You realize that quickly, is that she sucks.
Listen, I love John Goodman.
Well, that's the thing.
Find the stories entertaining.
You really watch it. I don't really watch it, but when we watch it, I'm watching it for him because you see exactly why he has lasted and she has not. You can see it right away and it stays the whole way. He's got all of it, where you realize that he is far bigger than what this show is going to be able to contain. And
Well, considering that they did a season of the show without her.
Oh yeah, they killed her off, and he's the anchor. Yeah. I watched a couple of those. He's still great. I don't need to see
honestly,
the new
that
version
must
of it,
be
but-
such a huge slap in the face.
Hey,
to
man,
have
you
a
know what?
show named after you, but they were like, "Nah, we're gonna kill you off."
Did herself in. Whatever. So,
Well,
like I said, it tells you something that can carry on without it. That does tell you something.
Yes, if a show can successfully carry on beyond it, then you would have been a
News Radio didn't make it without Phil Hartman very far. You realize. I don't either, but I know when Phil Hartman died, it took a dive for a number of reasons. One, because I think he was very liberal loved by the cast in his absence. They couldn't recover for it, but also the show just was not the same without him because of his comedic power.
Well, that concludes my reviews.
Oh.
What have you got?
Well, oddly, I don't have a movie review. I want to talk about The Vice, which I don't normally do on Vice review. Yeah, so this is I have messed around for years, a number of years, and for a number of dollars, trying to find a good portable retro game system. Because I like playing older games, Nintendo, Game Boy, Super Nintendo. That's really it. I like those core systems.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the more modern DS.
Okay, so this factors in. So there have been numerous, ever since the Raspberry Pi came along, and people were able to take these very small computerized boards and harness the power and figure out how to use them. There have been probably hundreds of different devices You can build little Raspberry Pi machines, which I've done. You can buy them pre-assembled, which I've done. And the thing that was tricky for me was, could I spend a week custom tailoring the system to do everything I wanted to? Yeah, I could. But honestly, I just want something that is relatively simple to set up and does not take a ton of coding and everything else. And a lot of them are just a headache. They just are, especially if you're building one. Like even a little Raspberry Pi box, which is largely just assembly. You don't even have to solder it. So I'm not going to make this out to be technically different. But I just don't feel like, and then sometimes the Bluetooth didn't work, so controllers would lose their connection. It's like, oh, fuck. It's just so much, it's an annoyance. I am too old for it now. I'll just declare it that way. I'm too old for this shit now. I want things to fucking work. I will put in some effort, but I don't need to learn how to code from the ground up so that I can play fucking Super Mario Brothers 2. It shouldn't be that difficult. It wasn't in the old days. It shouldn't be now. So, I've gone through a bunch of these different ones, and I found one because what it has come down to is there's really kind of three general formats with some variants. So basically what you find is, as you said, a lot of people think that the DS, specifically the slim one, the slim clamshell one, that's a big popular one. A lot of people think that's the best form factor. A lot of people default to the PSP kind of size, the wide.
The PSP just the level of graphics and stuff.
The screen is a good size. I mean, really, the Steam Deck is kind of a slightly supersized PSP. Let's be honest, that's what it is. But that was very popular and still is in the
Child me would have murdered for any of those.
Sure, of course. And then there's just so generally the PSP form factor, even ones that aren't PSP based but are wide. So they're wide, they're rectangles, they're long rectangles. Are sideways, they're horizontal rectangles. And then there's the form factor that I prefer, which is the Game Boy. That was always my favorite system. It was the most ergonomically best system. It was the ergonomically best system for me. I've always preferred the Game Boy form factor. And there's a company called Anbernic, Anbernic, that has made, right now they have so many of them that you can just look at. There's a ton of them, all different variations of them. And they came out with one. The other thing is, I don't want to spend $400 on it, because you can spend a lot of money on these, just like anything else. But that power is generally for people.
Hold on. Yeah. You gotta let me know how to spell this, because I just wrote Anbernic.
No, Anbernic.
Anbernic. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. That explains a lot.
Anbernic. Not Anbernic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
it looks like an
Amber.
old Game Boy.
Yes. Okay, so I don't know which one you're looking at.
Yeah. ANBER.
NIC.
NIC.
Yes. So they.
Yeah, the RG40XX. Oh yeah, they changed quite a bit of shape. Holy
They
shit.
do. Yes, they really will. The thing is, there was two things that I wanted.
Yeah, is it the RG40?
40 double X Victor. Yes, that's the one.
Oh, I see it. That's it.
Yeah, it's a Game Boy, and it has shoulder buttons on the back. So it has the shoulder buttons, so it can play like Super Nintendo, and it just, your hand rests just perfectly. If you prefer the vertical form factor, that's what the V is. The V is for vertical, and the H is horizontal. So if you look, they have a 40 whatever H, and that's wide for people who want that. And they have a clamshell one as well.
Oh yeah, it's got the controls in the back.
Uh huh. Yeah, and it's well made, because the early ones of these could be janky.
What does it play?
Anything up to, it will play all the systems up to, I believe, the N64 is where it starts getting fluky, because the N64 is tricky. But it'll play all the.
So how do you load all these games on?
All right. So I'll tell you what the key things for me were. One is, I didn't want to spend $400 on it. This thing is $70. And it will be cheaper within a couple of weeks of the show coming out, because they drop very quickly, because they keep coming out with new ones. So the screen is bezel-less, basically. That's the thing. It's a full screen.
Yeah, I see it. It's a big screen.
And it's a 4x3 screen, so it will play most things in their correct ratio. And you can dive into the detail systems and do all kinds of tweaks and everything. I'm not. I don't care that much. I don't need it pixel perfect. It's fine the way it is. Whatever. My eyes aren't that great anyway. So as far as the other thing is, you don't have to know anything to get this thing up and running in 5 minutes. You can. So if you look at it, it has two SD cards, one on the left, one on the right. The one on the left, it will come with a card with the OS already on it. You don't have to load anything. The default OS is perfectly serviceable, so you can run with it. And what you would do is, on your second card, You would load all the ROMs or whatever you're using into folders. You put it in there. You tell it to scan. It loads them up. That's it. So nothing. So out of the box, you can be up and running in. Well, I mean,
You have to download the games.
Yeah, or it does connect to the internet, and there are people who have made copycat games, so you could just go through the browser and find stuff. You can do it that way. But yeah, you're going to have something to load on it of some kind. And of course, those ROMs would all be for games you already own and you have legally backed up. Disclosure here. Of course, that's not real, but whatever. But that was the thing is, so now I decided to flash the OS with a different version. Now, what I would recommend for anybody if you're not comfortable doing this stuff, because it can be tricky, is just keep that original SD card someplace safe and buy a new set so that you can basically put the OS on there. All you literally do is you write to it with free software. You don't have to pay for anything. The images for these things are all free. I'm using one called Newly, which is, I think it's supposed to be pronounced Newly, Knulli, Newly. And I pulled the image down, flashed it to the card using a piece of software. You have to do nothing but tell it what you want to do, and then I pop the card in there, boot it up, and it comes right up. And that's it. That's all there is to it. And then you just have the only thing that's annoying about Newly compared to the base OS is with the base OS, you could just pop the second card in there, and that has the games. With Newly, for whatever reason, this feels like such a holdover for people who make open source software. You have to basically connect to it via a shared, you put it on the same network and you type in the address of the device and then the folders pop up. I don't know why they do that. It's annoying. So for most people, if you don't feel like going through that, don't get me wrong, it's like two steps.
Why did you switch to the other operating system? What does it give you?
Because it's prettier. It just looks better. You know how I am with aesthetics. It's an aesthetic thing.
No, that's fine. I get it. It's
all
prettier.
it is.
It's more
It's a very, very nice OS, and it does a lot of the pre-configuring for you as long as you don't want to get too nitpicky, which I don't. Because I'm playing, I mean, literally, one of my favorite games from the NES is Elevator Action, which is probably one of the most basic fucking games you'll ever play in your whole goddamn life. There's nothing to it. And I love playing it for like 5 to 10 minutes at a stretch. Or Bubble Bobble. Those are my top games.
Bubble Bobble, yeah.
Yeah. So the other nice part about things like this is you can play games from other countries that never got released here. So you can find those games online, and they never were released in America, but people have done translations, so you have the English. So like I never played Bubble Bobble 2, that I think was only, the version I'm playing was only in Japan. Oh, there's many. They actually branched it off. There's actually one where the characters are now humans with umbrellas, but it's the same characters, but they were transmogrified somehow. Oh yeah, you can get into the lore of these games, and they go in wild directions. Most people don't know there was a sequel to Wrecking Crew, which was one of the most basic boxing games. I loved Wrecking Crew. There was a Wrecking Crew 2, Wrecking Crew 98, which is a very Technicolor version of it. Oh yeah, Bubble Bobble has a whole lore to it. Because Bubble Bobble is what became Super Bust-A-Move, the game where you would shoot the bubbles.
Oh my god, it looks so weird. They call it Parasol Stars.
Told you, yeah. And you use umbrellas. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is there's all this weird shit.
Yeah, the story of Bubble Bobble 3.
Yeah, Bub and Bob. Except I think their names are different when they're human, or it might be the same names. I don't remember. Oh yeah.
It's creepy though when they're not.
It's weird. Yeah. So this device falls into the perfect kind of place for me. It's USB-C.
There's classic Bubble Bobble.
Oh, which I just beat, and the only reason I could beat it is because I use save states, because I could never beat that when I was younger. I beat it one time, and it took so long. It was ridiculous.
Wait, you can save?
Yeah, you can basically freeze the game wherever you are, and then load it in case you die. Oh yeah. It's called save scumming. I do it all the time. Whatever. I don't care.
We had that problem with Doom.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
With Doom too.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's just a shortcut button that you hit, and it instantly saves wherever you are. So as soon as I would beat a stage of Bubble Bubble, save. Get to the next stage, beat, save. Next stage, save. Load. Anytime I would die, some cheap shit death, load. Whatever. Fuck you. I'm not, it's bullshit. I'm coming back. All the time. That's the advantage of the modern system. But this one in particular is really well made. I mean, this thing feels like it should cost twice what it does. It has a nice weight to it. The ergonomics are very good. The screen is really, really pretty. I mean, again, it's not. If you want to get into the details of the pixel perfect stuff, go ahead. My eyes aren't that good. For what I want, which is just something, and it just is made far better than the old ones. It has Bluetooth in it, so you can connect it to headphones. You can connect it to a controller. It has HDMI out, so you can shoot this out to a TV and play these games on there through this thing. So like I said, the only bad thing about the Newly software, you don't have to use it. You can use what Ambernick puts on there. It's a little cruder looking, but it's perfectly functional, and honestly, you're just loading a game, so what do you care? Most people won't. It works fine. You will find endless Reddit columns and threads on why you shouldn't use it by people who will literally sit there, and I have every respect for them because I do it with certain things, just not this, for 4 hours customizing every little bit of what these things do. That's fine. You can do that. This will allow it. But if you just want to power the thing up and be playing games within probably 2 hours, depending on your charge speed, it'll work fine. It'll
If you
work.
just want the sweater without making the sweater.
Yeah, I mean, none of the games I'm using are even using the thumbstick. I just use the D-pad and the buttons, really, and that's it. And so, I just wanted to say this one is it, because I've tried a bunch, and none of them were particularly bad, but none of them were like this, where I was really happy with it almost as soon as I got it out of the box because of, I mean, I like it in the white color, which I'm sure will get dirty. Inevitably it will get dusty or something like that, but it just feels a step above, because you can get like the analog pocket device, which literally will take old Game Boy games. They made it to be a perfect, they really put a bunch of work into that. And it's a beautiful piece of hardware, but it is also, let's see, $250 to play Game Boy games. Now, I respect the craft. I'm sorry, the cheapest one is $220. But I certainly respect the craft of trying to make something that is as close to one-to-one for what the Game Boy was as there ever has been. I'm not saying that if you are that dedicated, by all means, get the analog pocket. You will have the premium device you paid for. But a lot of people are probably more like me, where it's like, I just want to play these games for like 15 minutes. I don't need this thing to be a jet engine of pixel perfection. That's nice and all for those who are interested, but I just want to play Bubble Bobble for like 20 minutes. This will do that with minimal effort, and it's actually something I would not mind people seeing, whereas the first couple ones I tried looked like somebody took a Dremel and cut some of the holes in it. The seams were not always lined up. It was kind of like a Cybertruck. So this feels more like a Corvette, except the lower end Corvette, not the limited edition Z1 or whatever it was, or Z1 if you're not in the United States. So this one I really feel like is the mature version of the product. I like it a lot. So I was just going to say that because I did get to a point where I gave up for it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait because nobody's making the right version of this. And then I saw this one, and it's thin without being too thin, which I also don't like, is when they're too slim and they don't feel good to hold. You're kind of afraid of them. So it has a nice heft to it. And like I said, it's well made without being a $400 device. And you can play, I mean, nothing I've played so far, but playing Super Castlevania 4. I was playing Super Mario All-Stars on it just earlier. Actually, earlier in the show when you were talking about something, I booted it up to just play Super Mario All-Stars for a few minutes. Because I was like, yeah, okay, so we'll go. And you can customize the boot screen, so mine just has Mario jumping.
Man, it was funny that you were talking to me before about doing a video show and how I was going to have to learn to not look bored.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why something like this cannot be sitting here if I'm doing a video show. Because the temptation is, because it is so easy. Here's the other thing is now these boot really quickly, whereas the older version
you don't
I
have
had,
to start them up. They just turn right up.
Well, yeah, and the older ones would just be a wall of code, and then it would be loading, and then it would be a boot screen, then it would be another wall of code. This one, boots, let's see. Here, I've got it off of the boots. There's the power button. Once I see Mario, that's what I count as a boot run. So, let's see. There's Mario. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I guess 25, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 seconds. So I can tell you right now, the previous version of this that I had wasn't no fucking 21 seconds. It was a good minute. And that was not anything wrong with it. It's because of the way it was built. They really have fine-tuned this. Now, to make sure I don't mislead anybody, when you buy this, just booting it up now, there's a little bit of light leakage on the bottom right where you can see it's a little bit lighter from where probably the LEDs are. I don't care. You can't see it in the game. Would the analog pocket be perfect edge to edge? Yes, that's why you're paying $200+ for it. So again, you can determine how much effort and expense you want to put in, like most things. But if you don't, for just a little system that I play when I have some free time, like literally sometimes I'm just playing this until my wife gets home from the gym for 20 minutes. It's perfectly good. Yeah. And it's inexpensive enough that I will bring it places and not, if I break it, I'll be pissed. I don't want to break it because I'm going to have to reload everything. But also, I just ghosted the SD card onto something, so literally if I lose it, I'll just ghost that machine and I'll just pop it into a new one. It'll be fine. And it comes in 3 colors, which is the white one, which I have, the transparent black, which normally I like transparent stuff, but not with the black they use. I don't really find that one very visually interesting. I tend to like transparency to be just clear transparency, like the Beat Studio Plus that I've got. Those are beautiful. And then the indigo blue, if I was more of a blue person, which I like some kind of blue, but not that blue. But if I was into that color blue, I would have gotten that one. I like that they have a nice kind of vibrant color. I imagine, I don't know, in the next 6 months or so, there will be more color options. I would actually probably be tempted to buy something like this. I do just like the form of it.
Listen, that's the only review you really did. You really did buy a second.
I would be. If they came out with a red one, oh, I'd buy that.
Yeah, and you're not even talking about replacing it. You're talking about just getting another one.
Yeah. Well, I would probably give this one to my wife because she likes playing video games because it's that easy. She with no knowledge, you could set this up for somebody and just hand it to them, and they will be playing games, and they don't have to know anything. They just have to know how to power it on and turn it off. That's as much, and how to do the save state thing because of course the older Nintendo and Super Nintendo have save states. They have batteries on it. So all you would have to show them is 1 or 2 shortcuts and how to turn it on and off, and the rest they'll figure out.
Yeah, I mean, this is that whole searching for that specific device.
Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Although I gotta tell you, the free rate system actually looks a little
Is it looking better these days?
It is looking better, I will say. You can actually go up and down in your background. Whereas before it was like you couldn't go back, except with the backspace button.
Well, this
Whereas
is.
I think you can actually, so like the technologies are getting better at this level. This little low level.
There was somebody who was, because I was, this is actually a couple of them, but this idea that now a lot of people are going back to the idea of, I don't want a device that does everything. I want to do the one thing really well, which of course is, you and I have talked about the value of that for a long time. It's not new. But I think people are getting to the point where they're understanding that when the device does everything. Well, it is, but it is also the idea that, well, that's it. Like with free rights,
but it's not going to give you the physical.
Try to get $1 and get a hot dog.
well, also, just like the free right thing, like that device is made by people who value what that device does, and that's all they care about.
They used to just make the one. Now they do this Hemingway edition that's like all aluminum, and it comes in a little suitcase. And oh God, it's just something. That's very sexy.
Well, it is, but it's still just the same kind of writing. What I'm saying is,
it's still just an e-ink fucking word processor.
And that's my larger point is those people value the experience of writing. Therefore, I have no doubt that this is a wonderful device to write on and only write on, because it's not like your phone where you start typing and because it's loading your email in the background, it freezes up for a minute or whatever, or assumes it's smarter.
I hate even worse than that. So when you type in so I use Pages. Right? When I write in Pages, at no point does Pages be like, hey, what you really meant was this. It'll just underline it and be like, what is that? And I can be like, fuck you, we're going to keep going. Whereas on your phone, it's like, oh, I fixed it for you. I'm like, no, asshole. I was like, that's not what I was saying. It's like, it's not my fault that I have a better vocabulary than you. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to create art here.
There are some, they have cases now that actually, I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but it's an interesting idea for somebody like you who does writing, is these cases now for the iPhone that put a physical keyboard under it so you get the whole screen to write on.
I saw the clackers or something.
Yeah. I saw a video of it, and I'm like, okay, for the right person.
I saw the review, and they said it's not the keyboard's not the problem. It's the rest of the case that's getting shoddy a little bit.
But
and it just creates a much larger profile. And
well, it does. You would be snapping it on and off.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When you do art, are you just randomly walking around? Or do you mainly do art when you're home.
Okay. So the truest answer to that is, when I'm really doing it, it's in a dedicated place. But
Yes.
I would not be opposed to having a version of the Apple Pencil where I could sketch an idea on my phone so that I wouldn't forget it later.
Well, you can. You just carry the pencil around.
No, it won't work with Android.
Oh, yeah, you don't.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. And does the
and
pencil
thing is-
work? I guess it works with my phone. This is
Listen,
probably
when I
weird.
have ideas, I write them down in notes. I keep the notes, or I text myself, right? I keep my ideas, but I don't write when I'm on the go. I brainstorm when I'm on the go. And then I have a formal writing time. I sit down.
Yeah,
Sit
here's.
down, I'm like, okay, it's writing time.
I just looked this up. Apple Pencil doesn't work with an iPhone, so even if I had an iPhone, I couldn't do that.
Oh shit! I thought it did.
No, I didn't think it did. But
Well,
I
you know what?
think,
They're gonna have to get their Apple Intelligence.
Well, I think eventually
Make it work.
Yeah, it says here that there's an article on here's what you can get instead, which is ironic. But if you were somewhere where you had an hour to kill and you had that case, just
Agreed.
back
No, agreed.
well, what I'm saying is, I can
If
see
I got
people,
an hour to kill, I would read.
but I
I
can
do
see
not.
the value in it for the right people who just want to snap it on,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
knock out some,
Yeah, there's people who write constantly. That's good.
Sure.
It's great for them. But
Yeah.
they'll already have figured something.
Well, except that I do understand a
And
lot of
that
people do not
keyboard.
like virtual keyboards. They want
That keyboard is
tactility.
cute. No, but you're going to triple your fingers.
Oh, it's like anything else.
It's a BlackBerry.
I will say
Somebody
this.
wants to write Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think you might find that that's more varied than you think. I do distinctly remember with a lot of fondness the Palm 3 keyboard. I loved that thing. I can feel it now, even though it was a small keyboard. Well,
Compact mechanical keyboard. Yeah.
all I'm saying is that for some people, that option probably makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that from what I've seen, it's easy to get on and off, because if it was a welded-on case, no, forget it. You have to
I'd
be
like
able to
it
just pop it
more
out.
if it was a case that was like it was like
Well,
smooth titanium or something.
Well, I imagine that if it's successful, because it was a first-run device, that would be like Dr. Hemingway, right? So if they sell, then
And you know what? My biggest, I love what FreeWriter's done. The Alpha, which is the little one that you can use like anywhere. It's got these incredible batteries. Listen, I love those devices. I'm thrilled that they make them. My biggest issue when they put out the original Hemingway
Excuse me, to try to get $1 and get a hot
was that
dog.
it was a stream of thought writing system. So if you needed to revise something, it was based off the idea that you just write. Don't even think about it. Just write. It's like I am a vision writer, so for me, it's like I need to go back and forth with the document, and there was no way to do that unless you were deleting. You had to backspace your way through the document, which was basically deleting, right? And apparently now they have made it so there is a control system. So that you can go, page up. Yeah, there you go. You can actually go and look through your document. That was the one feature I needed. You give me that. Only problem is I just don't try.
well,
You were saying how like you travel for 2 hours.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't. And so like I'd have to really like in the middle. You know what? I'd have to be getting paid. That's really what it is. If you were paying me to write, if I was actually under like deadlines, I would take this shit money. But nobody cares about writing. I go where the fuck I please. I'll write when I feel like it. So it's that kind of thing. It's like, is it romantic? Sometimes really cool to sit down and write. Yeah, except that writing is an invariably solitary, isolating experience. So you'd go someplace pretty and then fucking lock yourself in your head. That's why when you hear about like writers who have to get shit done, they didn't go to like a romantic vista. They locked themselves in a fucking hotel room and banged out a few chapters. Right? Like that's you know what? The other morning, and I was having kind of like a weird existential morning. I wasn't feeling like I was going to the universe. I get this text out of nowhere from Joe. Oh yeah. And it was an image. And on the image it says, oh, wait, where is it? I saved it because it was so apropos. It's like a pie chart. Yeah, it's a pie chart, and it says the perks of being a writer. So right? And on the side, it's like red represents money, blue represents making family proud, yellow represents happiness. And then when you look at the pie chart, which is separated 3 ways, none of those colors are on the pie chart. That's just to say, money, making your family proud, and happiness does not exist on the pie chart when you're writing. And I laughed because it was so true. Like, it just is. It's so, like, you know how they're like, oh, writing is a dying art. I'm like, yeah, maybe it should be, man. I don't know. For such a loveless art, you know, that's why, like, when George R. R. Martin actually got big and he was, like, touring around and doing talks, and everyone wanted to talk to George R. R. Martin, and everyone was like, we need George R. R. Martin to go back to his den and finish these fucking books. And I was like, he's not gonna. I was like, he's having a great time. He doesn't have to go locked into his little den by himself. He wants to be out and talk to people about his genius. I was like, he's been waiting years for this. Let him have it. You know? So, you know, does the Hemingway free write look like a sexy little device? Yeah, it comes in a suitcase. Like, there's this incredible typewriter fetishism. I love it. But, you know, the thing about fetishism is that it's very, you know, so like this device that you're talking about, it's called the Amber Dick.
Yeah.
No,
Amber Dick. No, yeah.
Amber Dick, yeah, not an Amber Dick. Amber Dick, it's a bit different.
Right.
It is a fetish device. You wanted to have the physical experience of playing games on a dedicated device, and you knew that you didn't want to have massive dedication. You wanted to do it for short periods of time, in and out, have some fun, go do your fucking thing. That's perfect. You found a device that did it. You found your niche fetish device. That is the future that we live in. It's perfect. You know, like, what more can you ask for? That's great. And, like, for me, I like the idea of that fetish niche device. But for me, at the end of the day, a laptop just does too much. A laptop is the fetish device.
Let me ask you this: because the free write, what is the cheapest free write? It's like $300 or $400.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you get the nut.
Yeah. What's just the base level one? I didn't look off the
I
page.
think it's like 500.
Okay.
Oh,
if they came out,
that was $749. I swear, I thought there was a cheaper.
there may be. That 500 sounds like what I was thinking.
No, all the big ones, not the little ones, but all the
Okay.
big ones that look like typewriters.
Well, all right. How much is the
Are in-
little one?
The little,
Not that I'm saying you
itty-bitty
use it,
one's
but
it's got a tiny
How's that
screen. It's
like?
300 right now.
All right. If they came
Yeah.
out with the big version for $200 or less, would you get one? Or would
Oh
you
my
think
God.
about it?
If the Ernest Hemingway one that came with that was all aluminum, it came with a suitcase, was 200. I would, but I'd worry that it was not real aluminum, and not real leather.
Well, okay. So, all right. Then whatever price
Listen,
you think is
if
cheap.
I
for
had
that.
$1,000 to blow,
Well, of
there
course.
are
But what
worse
I'm
things
saying,
I could blow than on the Hemingway typewriter.
But what I'm making the comparison is this device is the Hemingway for $200, and maybe
No.
maybe it's it's not real aluminum. Maybe
No,
it's
but you
a
know what?
metal
I'd
that looks
buy.
like
No,
aluminum.
I'd buy it. I'd totally buy the Hemingway.
Right. And that's what when you say niche. Could I have spent $500 on a perfect recreation?
No,
of
but
Game Boy?
you found
Oh, yeah.
something that did everything you wanted to do for the right price.
Right. And that's why I want to spotlight it, because this thing works really
And
well.
the thing is that the
without being
fetishists
ridiculous.
who love the construction.
Well, they'll get the
that
pocket
played in the
analog.
beginning.
That's what they'll
Yeah, they want something that they can fuck with. And that's the thing is, listen, there's plenty of times that the fucking with the device is part of the fetish of having the device. But in your case, you just want to play the game.
I wanted something that was low hassle. And so
Yeah, I
did
don't
I
wanna
change
have
the
to
OS?
code a,
Yes, but it was easy. It wasn't.
Yeah, I also don't want to have to code a device to be able to have a mobile word processor.
Right. And like one of the Raspberry Pi devices I built with, I had to enable all these options just to get it to connect to a Bluetooth controller. And that was such a hassle. Whereas this thing, it's like, there's a Bluetooth button. All right, pair your device. Thanks, bye.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, the Hemingway has a giant notch on it to turn the Wi-Fi off and on. It's
Which,
just-
hey, you like
I'm
a hard
sure-
switch for wireless. That's good.
I do. I love hard switches. So it's
That's That's why I like those framework laptops are doing pretty well.
What do they call it?
The framework, the modular laptop, where you basically could. Remember, I told you about. Hey, when you get one of those, you can just pull the goddamn Wi-Fi module out of the machine, and you know it can't connect then. They're modular laptops. You build them.
Oh my god, they look very much.
Yeah, but those things are all replaceable. So see,
Are they
there's
out? Are they already?
oh yeah, no, you can buy them. They're on the second version of it now, or third. Maybe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's
the framework
13 and
16. Click on it, you'll see them putting the
Oh,
keyboard
what is
in.
that?
And
What is
which
that running?
modules.
I
I think it will run anything. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Oh yeah, it says operating system, Windows or Linux. No, you're not
Or
going to run
Linux.
Linux. But Windows is there, so you can run. Yeah. Configure with Windows or bring your own OS, which means Linux. You could probably run a version of Mac on it if you wanted to. They still have that, but it's not. But that's what I mean. That is a DIY version where you can, you decide you don't like that has Wi-Fi, rip the Wi-Fi module. Literally, just slide it out, and nobody's going to be hacking shit.
I know we're going to that age now where every device is going to have Wi-Fi. You can't shut it.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm very happy this company is doing well enough that they keep going. Because at some point, I could see myself getting one of these if it was a good enough laptop. And it's getting close. So. But that's another niche product. But that's what's great is the niche products are no longer necessarily completely
Bad.
out of reach from or bad.
Yeah, and when I was younger, I was looking for these, like, because computers were so big and so heavy, I was looking for a small word processor. I was looking for these small niche devices. I love Game Boys. I had the Palm, HP, what was it? Touchscreen, one of the early touchscreens they had.
What, you mean the Trio? The Palm Trio?
The Vornado? No, it wasn't. It was like a little rectangle. It had a full keyboard, and then it had like a touchscreen on top of it.
Oh, not the libretto. Was it the
It was the
libretto?
libretto, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that, the problem is that they were running full OSs that weren't really geared toward them, so like it was kind of a neutered OS, and like Word, there was like Word worked weird on them and things like that. And like honestly, one of the things I love about Pages is that Pages is such a stripped down program. Works like a fucking charm on the phone. You know what I mean? Like, but yes, the whole iPhone thing doesn't really mean the fact that like when I'm using Pages on the computer knows to shut the fuck up and keep it on the web. Whereas the iPhone's like, did you really mean this? I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. I was writing auto asphyxiation, you bastard.
Right. Autoerotic asphyxiation. I know what I'm doing.
So anyway, I applaud your device.
Yeah, no, I like it. So like I said, this has filled that magic middle ground where it's not so cheap it's a piece of garbage, but yeah, it has filled it's a bit of Pompino for video games. So there's just enough that I need.
Well, sir, you do call yourself un bajador.
I certainly do, all the time, often, and with perfect pronunciation because I am fluent in Spanish, as anybody who's ever watched any of the videos where I speak it will clearly know. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had to review for this week. But like I said, yeah, go check that thing out. Because I don't know how well known these devices are to a lot of people. I think the other ones get a lot more attention. But this is actually a nice little device. So if you've ever been looking for something like this or didn't know you needed it because it's not overly expensive, yeah, go look at it. And they have a million options, too. So if you like the wider stuff,
oh, yeah.
they've
if you
got
like different
everything.
formats. Yeah, they've got like a PlayStation portable format. They've got
And-
an EX format.
And that's the other thing I like is that they're all running the same OS on all these different devices for the most part, which means you can do the same stuff. So if you find that you want a different one, what I said should apply if they're of the same general generation. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about, I bought the wide one. It's a completely different thing. It may not work as well. It's all the same company making the same stuff. So that's
we're
it.
incapable of bringing a show in under 2.5 hours.
Well, if we want to begin under 2.5 hours, we have 3 minutes to go. Therefore, I'll tell everybody, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening.
Not with your fucking music, it isn't.
I think it'll be just under. We'll find out. Anyway, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. All right. Bye. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.